It is Tuesday, August 10th, and it's 6:30, and I'm calling the meeting to order. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda as written?
So moved.
Yes, second.
Second by Mr. Vignani. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. The first item on our agenda is walk-ins, as Jim walks in. Is there anyone here who would like to say something that is not on the agenda? Doesn't look like it. All right, very good. Now the time for the report of the town administrator, Mr. Boudreau.
Good evening, thank you. Good to see everybody. We got a bunch of things to update the board on, starting with water main construction. As we've talked about, the utility road main work is complete. They're now doing services on utility road. We have also commenced the replacement of the water main on Old Oaken Bucket. When they're finished there, they will head down to Brook Street and start the replacement of the water main on Brook Street. The water usage the past week was 1.455 million gallons per day, which was down a little bit from the week before, and is still much lower than we generally use this time of year by a good 500,000 gallons plus a day. The one bad thing, we do see the manganese levels in the water going up as the water gets hotter, so that can cause some discoloration of the water. We will continue to monitor that. The reservoir for the beginning of August is at plus 675 inches. I don't think the town's had that much water at this time of year in a long time, so that's a good thing. But we still do have water restrictions. The regular water restrictions are in place. And if you go by the treatment plant now, you'll see some trailers down there. That is the equipment for the pilot study for the treatment plant. So what those trailers do is they take different treatment methods and test them on our particular water to determine which type of treatment is the best. They'll go away, then they'll come back in the winter time and do it with the cold water, and then we'll determine what is the best treatment for Scituate's water for the construction of the new water treatment plant. On COVID, we had 18 cases last week. That's double the week before, so the numbers are going up. They're almost entirely the Delta variant at this point. Our positivity rating also doubled to 0.64% from 0.31%. So we are seeing an uptick in cases like everybody else. We're going to continue to monitor that. We keep saying to people, if you haven't been vaccinated, please see a physician. If there's no reason for you not to be vaccinated, you should get vaccinated. The Delta variant is more contagious than the chickenpox. It is going around. According to the CDC, 97% of recent hospitalizations and 99% of recent deaths are all among unvaccinated individuals. So the vaccine does work. It either keeps you from getting it or it keeps you from getting sick, hospitalized, and intubated. So we ask that you please go get that, and we'll continue to monitor those numbers. We are not making any changes right now to rules in Scituate, but again, we'll monitor the numbers and see what goes on in consultation with the Board of Health and the State Department of Public Health. First Parish Road, we are continuing work on that. We should be putting down the base coat tomorrow and Thursday from Countryway up to on both sides and the other side of the common. We will be putting down the base coat. When that is down, they will reconstruct the sidewalk from Countryway up to the Council on Aging, new sidewalk, new granite curb. We will also be constructing a sidewalk on the opposite side of the street from Central Park Drive up to the church, and then we will have a crossover to the senior center. So you'll be able to go from the library in Central Park, crossing First Parish Road, as opposed to going down, crossing Beaver Dam, crossing First Parish, and crossing Cudworth. We're going to have a direct crosswalk right over to the senior center. I think that'll make it much more accessible to the residents of Central Park, the people at the library, and people at the ballpark. So keep an eye on that. Word to the wise, Chief Thompson is here. I've already had discussions with Chief Thompson. When the base coat goes down, we will start doing intensive traffic enforcement in that area. Better roads always lead to increased speeds. While they're doing the sidewalk work, you'll also see work on Jefferson, Washington, Clifton, and Thomas. They're just going to get overlays. They're just down past on Beaver Dam. Those neighborhoods are going to get done. The Siegmund Rink renovations are ongoing. The contractor's out there working now. We did have a question as to why we have to close some of the skate park. It's because the skate park is so close up against where the skating rink is. The heavy equipment, we can't have people working in there. We'll be out of there as quickly as possible. The heavy work is scheduled to be done before school starts, and that's a couple weeks. So we just ask people to be patient at this point. You go down to Widows Walk, you'll see the clubhouse is up. What you'll see is what you're going to get. Then we'll be putting a deck on that, so it has been all framed in. The contractor, way ahead of schedule, put the base coat on the parking lot last week. They're now working on the drainage, so that will sit now until the winter time. Among the last things we will do will be the final coat, but you can see actually what the clubhouse is going to look like. Now they're going to start the footings and things for the handicap. So that's coming along well. It's on time. The Hummerock Fire Station, if you go down there, you've seen for the last several weeks, just the footings. The house or the residence part of it is coming in as a modular. Those modules are scheduled to come in this week, so you should start seeing that go up in a hurry. We are still on schedule for the fall. It's imperative that we get it done before the freezing season so we can get those trucks back underground. But you should start seeing the actual structure go up in Hummerock this weekend. And a thank you to everybody for Heritage Days. I think it was a huge success. I was down there on Sunday. It was absolutely packed. So thank you to the Chamber, Police, Fire, DPW, and everybody who made Heritage Days, I think, a really good success. I think people were really glad to be out and about and doing that. So thank you to everybody for that. And that's what I have for tonight.
Thank you. Anyone questions? Tony?
Just a question on the sidewalks. Are those part of, where are we funding those from? Is that part of the senior project in front of that, or is
No,
that?
it's from your roads and sidewalks.
That is from roads and
Yep,
sidewalks?
roads and sidewalks.
All the way from,
So from Countryway up to the senior center will be replaced, and then there'll be a new sidewalk on the other side for about, that's probably about 100 yards, maybe not even that much.
and whatever happened to the poles on Country Way down by,
They haven't been moved yet, we're still waiting for National Grid, so that part of the sidewalk where the poles have to be moved just has the base coat, they haven't done the top coat yet. So we're
Thanks.
kind of dependent on National Grid for that.
Karen?
Question, I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it because I get asked it all the time, is if we have 6.5 inches over our reservoir, why aren't we reducing the water restrictions?
The water restrictions are actually a state restriction that is imposed on all the towns within the watershed area. It has nothing to do with how much water we have, it has to do with the amount of water we can withdraw and our water withdrawal permit. So that is a state-imposed restriction that is imposed annually on all the towns in that basin, regardless of the amount of water. So that is nothing under our control.
And a follow-up question to that is, I presume then we're planning for a robust flushing this fall?
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Very good. More? Nope. Nothing. Tony? Tony? Andrew? Nice.
That's fine.
That's another story, actually. All right, very good. Thank you, Jim. We can now move on to our next item, which is a recognition of police officers, and I see them out in the hallway. Hello, Chief.
how are you?
Good. I think all of the people out in the hallway are waiting for this.
They may be.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah. So we're here tonight to recognize police officers Brendan McCauley, Taylor Billings, Craig Keefe, and dispatcher Josh Kimball for the July 27th water rescue. And here to discuss it, tell us about it, is Chief Mark Thompson. Welcome.
Thank you for having us all in tonight and taking a couple of minutes of the meeting. I'll give you a brief, just kind of summary of what happened that night, and then maybe just kind of talk about a couple of things, and I'd just like to be able to introduce these folks. So many of you have probably already heard, but this happened on a Tuesday night, July 27th. There was a fast-moving storm that came into Scituate. I think it caught some people off guard, and that's clearly what we saw. Just before 8 o'clock, we received a call for a vessel in distress just off of Minot, out in the Well Rock area. Dispatcher Kimball was working, fortunately, took the 911 call, and what we heard was that it was a vessel in distress, and they had a diver in the water that they had now lost contact with, and the boat has now lost power. So you basically got a boat off Minot, no engine, in the rough seas, their diver has gone missing. So that's kind of the initial scenario that we had. Our crew, Officer McCauley, Officer Billings, and Officer Craig Keefe, were staffed on MP1. They were out by the edge of the harbor, kind of anticipating that the storm was coming in and things might go badly. They were dispatched and were able to get on the way very quickly and start making their way towards Minot. There's been some audio that's been provided. If you all have an opportunity to listen to it, it's condensed down a lot. But as you listen through that and start to hear the 911 calls and the radio traffic that goes on, you really get a feel for just how bad this was and the type of sea states that they were hitting. So for our folks who are on their way out, but then also the people who were in the water in distress. So when that 911 call happened, our police unit got underway, Harbor Master gets underway, Fire Department was getting underway, and also the Coast Guard was notified. Unfortunately, the Coast Guard's 29-foot boat, which is in our harbor, was in Plymouth. So they were out of play for this to begin with. So these officers really kind of fought the seas along the way to make this trip down to Minot. it's pretty incredible that they were able to do that in these conditions. Dispatcher Kimball was getting the information, now got the 911 call, so was trying to relay information back to them. When they arrived on scene, which was now just after 8 o'clock, about 8:20, they've learned that the boat has now regained power and their diver's back on the boat. So we kind of arrived to a great situation, but then what we kind of found out moments from there from the Coast Guard is that there are now 2 paddleboarders who are also somewhere in the vicinity and who are also in danger. At that point, we hadn't received the 911 call yet, but moments later, as that search is starting to happen, we get a 911 call from one of the paddleboarders who's indicated the distress she's in. She doesn't have a life jacket on, and her companion, who was also on a paddleboard, is nowhere to be found. The paddleboard went by without her on it. She's presumed to be in the water with no life jacket. So that then started kind of this second search. Again, all in the rough areas. Dispatcher Kimball was able to start to vector in our boat. Again, the harbor master's boat, the fire department is making their way out there as well. Based on 911 coordinates and some information they received, they were able to recover the first paddleboarder, get her safely on board the boat, and now start to get the second recovery happening. We got some information from people on land who started to yell somewhat further up into the glades area. Some people got some eyes onto the second woman who was clinging onto a lobster pot, onto that buoy floating in the water, and this is now half hour, 45 minutes later after this has initially all started. Again, the crew aboard the boat was able to maneuver their way through not only the stormy seas, but if anyone's been out in that area, you know the rocks, the ledges, and all just the inherent dangers that are there. They were able to make their way over, get to the woman who was clinging to the lobster to buoy, and get her safely on board, and then transit everyone back to Cole Park, the Jericho Boat Ramp, where they met with Scituate Fire and the paramedics. The interesting through all of this, just to add the confusion, is Cohasset had a situation with a missing kayaker. We had another boat that was in distress in the Herring River, and we also had a report of another male kayaker who had left from the upper side of Minot and was not seen again. So there was a lot of conflicting information happening and multiple things going on all at the same time that this rescue was underway. So I think one of the things that's interesting about this, and I was thinking about this coming in tonight, is there are all kinds of things that all of our officers do every day. It's not always just saving a life. It's a simple act. It's an act of kindness. It's something that they do that changes somebody's life dramatically every day. This incident, and I think why we're here tonight, is just because we also recognize that police officers run into danger. This was a situation where their own personal safety was definitely at risk as they were making their way through the water. So that was huge for us. One of the great things that I think is really, I guess this is where skill and luck come together, is the crew that happened to be there. So you have Officer McCauley, Officer Billings, who are both on Metro-Elect Maritime Special Response. All 3 of them, Officer Keefe, are all tactical boat operators. They've got years, decades, you name it, on the water. So you have this incredibly experienced crew that they're trainers themselves, their level of expertise, you couldn't have asked for a better crew to be out there. And then on the other side of the mic, you had Josh Kimball, who's a natural resource officer in Wareham. He's trained on boats. His ability to multitask, and if you listen to some of the audio, you can start to get an understanding of 911 radios, phones, technology, all of this coming in, but yet somehow seamlessly being able to convey that out to everyone out in the field. So that was something where I think we lucked out. We had the right people in the right place at the right time, and the right skill set to do things. So I appreciate your letting us come in here and be able to kind of share this with you, but I think it's important to recognize this group of individuals and kind of what they did that night, and were able to save a couple of lives.
What a story.
Wow.
I heard about the paddleboarding part of it, but I never heard at the beginning of the story. So that's amazing.
Yeah,
and
the
then
2 women had left
everything
from
else
Cohasset.
going out.
Yeah, there was a
went out
lot.
there.
There was a lot.
That's a lot. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much, all of you. And, you know, I don't know if people who sit on the beach understand how dangerous it is going from Scituate Harbor over toward Cohasset. There's a reason why there are lighthouses out there, and there's all kinds of impediments and rocks that are hidden, and people don't always understand that it's not just a joyride to go from Scituate Harbor over to Cohasset. So thank you so much. That's extraordinary, and it's great to hear we have such a good dispatcher, and I certainly couldn't do that job. It's extraordinary.
It really is a thing where you have all of these people come together in the team. So you see where the dispatch works, you see where the police works, but the fire department works, the harbor master works, all of those people in the Coast Guard. So while there were different people on scene in different roles, the landside efforts, Lieutenant Nolan from the fire department was down on the beach. We had all of our officers down on the beach. So you're looking at landside, trying to figure out where this woman has gone and then be able to convey that information back and forth to the assets that are on the water. So you look at this really collaborative effort that winds up happening. So these 4 guys are here tonight, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but by the same token too, there's a whole big team that comes out to make all of this happen.
Well, and I'll say, we weren't lucky. Those people you rescued were very lucky. That could have all gone very badly, so.
Yeah, there's a message there for life jackets and watching the weather.
Yes,
Because things go badly in a hurry.
And bring your life jacket.
quickly. And watching the weather,
True indeed.
helpful sometimes. Maybe I can start with Maura? Have
Sure.
anything?
I can't thank each of you enough, and I think, Chief knows that we often get questioned the need for MP1 down on the harbor and the police presence. And there's no question in my mind, ever has been, that you belong there, and I want to thank you all for your expertise and, more importantly, your collaboration. It's again, dealing with the fire department, the police department, the harbor master. There are a lot of different roles and responsibilities there, and you all just did it flawlessly. And Josh, thanks for your expertise on land to keep them all focused and getting to the right area. When I heard that they weren't 13-year-old young ladies and they were 50-plus old ladies and did that, shame on them for not respecting Mother Nature, and they're very fortunate to have the 4 of you and everyone else to save their lives. So I wish they were here to thank you, because I think you deserve it. So thank you, and job well done.
Andrew?
Yeah, I keep hearing this word luck, but it's the skill. So I think you're being a bit too humble. I mean, to have the crew with all the skill to be there is just indicative of not only the leadership of the department writ large, but just, again, thank you for the training and the hours you put in to have that, because it's not just luck, it's the skill that you had, and so just thank you. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Tony?
Sure, I'll just continue with the praise. I mean, everyone thinks that Situate's this little, small, happy town until it's not, right? Until something happens. And I've been doing this for a while, and probably once or twice a year we have one of these situations that pops up, and we're very not lucky. We're fortunate that we have a great staff behind us, and we're really fortunate, that the 4 of you, literally, like Chief said, put your life in danger to help somebody else. And not everybody would do that. I mean, they like to think they would, but when you're on that boat, and if you get thrown overboard, you may not come back. It takes a lot. So we're fortunate to have great officers with great courage and great skill sets to help, our citizens when they get in situations like that. So I thank you all for that, and I thank you for all the other little things that you do. But another situation where you stood apart. So thank you all.
Ms. Canfield?
Well, batting cleanup, I just have 2 observations. One, and it's sort of what Andrew alluded to, and listening to Chief, watching the Olympics last week and having these athletes come in and say, look what they did this day. And everyone knows that they spent 10, 15 years training for that day. And this is that kind of event. So, it isn't any luck. I think Andrew's exactly right. It's the skill and training commitment that you've all had that really makes the difference. And I see family here, and I just want to thank you guys for, supporting our team so that they can do what they do and support the whole community. So, because I know you're at home going, I know Dad's out there. So thank you to all of you.
I know that a lot of you know probably first name basis some of these people too, but if you don't, can I just introduce each of them?
Absolutely.
Just real quickly. So Josh Kimball, who was the dispatcher, was on the desk that night. Craig Keefe, who is newly hired natural resource officer, but brings so much to the table it's actually scary on a daily basis. Taylor Billings, who I know everyone sees in different capacities, and Brendan McCauley, who's our Marine Unit extraordinaire, and was the one who was actually the captain on the boat that night.
Well done.
Well done, that's right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming
Thank
in.
you.
Time.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thanks to everyone.
Be safe.
We shake hands with you all, but we're not doing that right now. Of course, and then this week,
I only want to go out in the nice
Taylor was
weather,
on,
remember? You didn't dehydrate the
traffic
other day, did you?
control.
Yeah.
Get it, and
I was worried about you.
Officer Keith reminded me to put my nose on the wall.
Oh, really?
So they save lives
Yep,
and all the other.
multi-talented.
Oh, I didn't show you that this weekend. I know Karen saw.
I saw it. My reaction was, cute guys. Now we have a public hearing.
Public hearing, we have to wait till 7 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
You can go skip ahead and do one of the next two things, but
So we can do the discuss vote block party and entertainment permit at
yeah,
Alden
you can
Avenue?
do the next two, but the public hearing has to wait till 7 o'clock to start.
I think what I said was discuss vote the block party. Can we do that one?
Okay.
Okay. It was too noisy. The next item, the item before we'll skip because we have to wait till 7. The 7:15 is discuss vote a block party and entertainment permit at Alden Avenue on August 18th, 2021 from 2 to 8 p.m. Karen Gammon, resident. Is Karen here?
Oh, typo.
Okay, typo. That's all right.
Karen, you want to come up and,
I'm sorry, the date was 28th? Yes. Thank you. And you are Karen?
I am.
Meet Karen, meet
We're all
Karen,
Karen.
we're all Karens. So, would you like to tell us what you're doing?
Sure, we're just having a block party in the neighborhood, blocking off part of Alden Ave, not the entire Alden Ave. So from Alden Ave is the corner of Marshall till the corner of Egypt Ave. Just to help, we usually have a family party every year, didn't last year. I'm doing this more as a social distancing sort of thing, so people can kind of sit in the street and listen to the music, or, you know, that's really the main reason I'm doing it this way.
And have you notified the abutters, I suppose, the neighbors?
Yeah, they actually, the last one was notified today, and he was fine with it. They don't live, they're just summer residents, and they
Right.
only mow the lawn every 2 weeks, so
Right.
he happened to be there today.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
maybe you can tell us about the music?
Yeah, it's my husband's band. He plays they play on the porch. We've done it every
Acoustic?
year for, no.
Or amplified?
Yes, yes. We've done it every year for, geez, well, we've lived there for a long time, so we've done it every year for many years, except for last year.
Well, give the band a plug. What's the
name?
name?
Oh, so it's the two different bands. One is Blame the Dog, and the other is Hurricane. One's a Neil Young cover band, and the other's just a classic rock.
Sounds
And
good.
What are the hours? Like,
And they're
Is
excellent.
it 2 to 8?
oh, yeah.
2 to 8, yeah.
Yeah, how many, you've been doing this a couple of years. I mean, this has been going, you've had this.
Oh, yeah, we've had this party. We used to call it Yam Fest, but this year it's called Black Party.
You want a motion?
Yes, please.
Move to approve a block party on Alden Ave from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. on August 28th, with road closure on Alden Ave between Marshall Ave and Egypt Ave. Applicant to pick up sawhorses at the Highway Barn.
Second?
Second by Ms. Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Have a wonderful time.
Oh,
Yeah, one more.
And also, move to approve an outdoor entertainment permit on Alden Ave from 2 p.m. until 8 p.m. on August 28th, 2021.
Second. Second by Ms. Canfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Have fun.
Thank you. Thanks for coming
Good to
in.
see you.
I think we can probably squeeze this in. Discuss vote outdoor entertainment permit, Scituate Community Christmas, September 25th, 2021, from 3 to 7 p.m. Kim Stewart? Come on up, Kim.
How is everybody?
Good.
Ray,
Kim.
how are you?
So what are you up to?
You know, not as much as those guys.
Seriously.
I like being on the other side.
Yeah, I bet.
Good for them. It's nice of you to do that.
Well, it's great to have them. Seriously, I only heard the second part of the story about the paddle porters, so. So what are you doing with Scituate
So
Community
we're
Christmas?
going to have our Cornhole Tournament that we started in 2019. It was a smashing success. Couldn't do it last year, but we're going to do it again this year. The band is amplified. There's 5 of them. It will be from 3 to 7 at our location at 125 Manlot Road.
You say 5 bands?
5-piece band.
Oh, 5 bands.
5 bands is a jam fest.
And that is from 3 to 7?
Yes.
Have you notified the abutters yet?
Yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes, the public safety building knows.
Are there?
And the
How
animal
and how
shelter.
do dogs feel?
And the animals?
In the animal shelter.
The shelter knows, the dogs and the
Yes.
cats know, yeah. Good. Any questions, anyone?
Just whether the board's going to field a team.
We'd love to
Oh.
have you all. Registration starts next week. so-
Are there teams, really?
Yes,
Yeah?
yep. I see
I'm not
points
very good
going
at it. You
on.
don't want me on your team.
You can come as a spectator.
Okay, I'll do that.
That sounds better
Yeah.
to me.
I have no questions, other than that.
We could rotate. Nobody would want me, though.
See that?
Do I hear a motion?
Sure, move to grant an outdoor entertainment permit to Kim Stewart for an event at 125 Manlot Road for Scituate Community Christmas with a 4-piece band to be held on September 25th from 3 to 7 p.m.
Very good, thank you. Second by Ms. Canfield, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you
you so
Kim.
much.
Thank
So
you,
Kim, this is right at the Susan Pippin house, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In the front yard and the band,
Backyard.
backyard and the band's back there also?
Front yard will be parking.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Come on down.
All right, thank you.
I'm ready.
So, I think it's 7 o'clock.
According to
It is.
Pretty good.
So I
6:58
think
by
we
the
can
time
do
we
our
assemble.
public hearing, discuss, vote, transfer of the package store wine and malt beverage license to CCO Holdings LLC, doing business as the Driftway Market at 48 to 52 New Driftway. Aaron Cutler. Mr. Cutler, welcome.
I hope this goes as quickly and easily as the last two.
So, if you could explain what we're here to talk about tonight. It's a transfer of a liquor license.
Yes, and we're also applying for the common vittler's license.
Okay.
We're building a new gas station convenience store at the new Driftway, and that's slated to start, I hope, this week. And if we get our surety bond, which I've been waiting for a long time. And then, so we're going to open ideally sometime in January, I think, and it's going to be convenience items. And we just thought that beer and wine was a good complement to having in the convenience store.
So, curiosity in the community, is it a Cumberland Farms? Is it a 7-Eleven? There's all kinds of rumors going around.
Yeah,
So-
it's not a Cumberland. It's going to be a mobile station. We're actually supplied by 7-Eleven, so maybe that was part of the 7-Eleven has a fuel distributorship arm, so they're supplying the fuel to it. But the store won't be a 7-Eleven. It's just going to be called the Driftway Market.
So it's not some big chain coming into town?
It is not. No.
All right.
The intent right now is for us to operate it ourselves. That may change. We're talking to a couple other tenants, would most likely be someone local. It's definitely not, I shouldn't say definitely not, but there's no plan right now to have a chain in there at all. There's a separate 1,500 square foot space that we're planning to put some kind of another local sandwich shop in there. And we're very close to coming to terms on that too, but that will also be local. I really felt like having a local flavor there would be better for us,
Right.
business-wise, but also just more in tune with the town.
We do have that preference in town.
Yeah, and I mean, it works for us too, so I feel like that's, it's good that we're on the same page there.
Well, with all the curiosity, is there any chance you guys could put up some sort of a rendering so people could see what's coming?
Oh, on the, like on the fence?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, absolutely. We have
It couldn't look worse than it looks now, but I think if people see, because we've got a lot of activity going on down there.
Right.
So it'd be kind of nice to see what is the
Yeah,
future
yeah,
holds.
I will definitely do that. There's a couple color things that we have to change up, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think we can definitely do that.
That'd be nice. Well, I start with Andrew. Any questions?
No, I just kind of piggyback. You'd be surprised how many questions I think we get about what's going on there.
Really?
So the
Yeah.
yeah, it's so.
That's
I think
good,
good
I think.
communication, just so people kind of know, and it just helps everyone as well. But
Yeah, if
other
there's
than
an avenue for us to do that, I'm certainly willing to answer any questions. I think opening hopefully in January, assuming everything goes right, and mobile station, local, and as we get, if we get tenants in there, which obviously I hope we do, in the sandwich place, as we get them and we have signed leases, then I can start to kind of publicize who's going in. But I think I'm optimistic that it's going to be some good tenants and people are going to be happy about it.
Karen?
A couple of questions. So it said, we got all your backup material, thank you for that. You are going to be, you're not yet certified, tip certified.
Correct.
But
I
you
will
and
be
an
before
employee
you.
will be?
Yes.
Obviously, that is of utmost importance to us.
Absolutely.
To make sure. Have you any experience in liquor sales before this?
I do not. I've operated convenience stores before, but we have not had a liquor component to it. So what will probably happen is I will be hiring a manager who has experience with operating it, because I probably am not going to be, I could be, but.
You're listed as the manager on the application.
Correct.
Okay.
So I assuming we can get a manager, then I'm gonna pull back, and I think that would be ideal for everybody, because the manager would have that type of experience where I don't.
Lauren, that will require them to come in and switch the name, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll have a chance to speak to whomever.
Okay.
We have to refile an application for a change of name.
Okay.
What was the other question? And you're purchasing this from the Voyage, or
The license, yeah.
from, that's where because we're out of, are we out of licenses, I think?
We're out of package store.
Package stores licenses.
Yeah.
And it's a transfer from
O'Callahan?
O'Callahan's Package Store LLC to
Just their retail side, right?
Just the package store.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, the
Yep.
restaurant will still be, okay. Great, that's all I have, thank you.
Tony?
Sure. So the gas is going to be in the back.
Correct.
The convenience store will probably be on the right and the sandwich store on the left, if you're looking at it from the street.
As you're looking at it from the street, the sandwich store will be actually on the right.
Okay. And will there
closest to the
be,
entrance.
the entrance to the convenience store will be on both sides?
Yes, and
So-
the sandwich shop is actually, there's an entrance on the side, closest to the entrance, so here's the Driftway, here's the entrance, and then the sandwich store is here, and the convenience store is here, and then there's also an entrance to the sandwich store on the
And the
side.
parking for that will be,
All the way, there's parking all in back, so it'll be the parking will be fronted to the store, and then there will also be spaces in the back of the lot.
and so there will be, so if you have to go in and pay for the gas, you'd go to the convenience store to do that.
Yes.
Right. And are you getting the, what do they call the machine you get to check the IDs?
Software, yeah.
Oh, yes.
It's required, he has to.
I was going to recommend that he touch base with Anne Marie Galvin, too.
Yeah. They get grants for that,
Oh, really?
yeah.
I like that.
Okay. So, so that's,
Okay.
our biggest concern is children getting
Absolutely.
alcohol, and then also the environmental aspect. You're really close to the water.
Yeah.
We had your engineers in here, and we talked about that then, but
Yeah.
those are the two things that come to top of my mind is what
Yeah,
could happen
absolutely.
with that property, so.
We'll make sure to send Mr. Cutler a copy of the liquor license policy of the town of Situate, which outlines it.
Great.
I think I sent it already.
Great, well, best of luck, that's,
More?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Tony said too, and Karen, and actually I think what everybody up here believes is that, especially being a new owner, that, we've had very few violations in town in the past couple of years, but prior to that, had several. And we take it really seriously. We don't want a new business to get shut down right off the bat. So please take the time to educate yourself, not only on tips, but the software, and visit with Anne Marie Galvin from Fax, who can help you out with some of that monetary assistance, because it's really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then secondly, my question more to you, Lorraine, he's coming in for a common vic for the convenience store. Well, then the sandwich shop people need to come in on their own? Okay, so it's just for that piece.
At that point, building a common vic because it is a separate sandwich shop.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, great. Okay, great. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I think it'll really, obviously, it's a nice beginning of the new redevelopment of that area of town, so,
Yeah, I think it'll be great
Good
for the
luck.
town. Hopefully it'll be great for us too.
yeah, absolutely.
Just two other things. One is there will be electric charging station down there,
The plan is for there to be electric charging, yeah.
because we're getting that as a question as well.
Oh, yeah. So that was one of the conditions, and
Yeah.
we're working with the state to try to facilitate that. They have a program that we've applied for, but even if we're not able to get that, it's still one of the conditions, so we're doing it.
And I think we're all aware, the planning board especially has done a lot of work on this, and it's been thoroughly vetted, and we understand it's in an environmentally sensitive area, but all precautions and engineering solutions have been, done and.
Yeah, absolutely.
Done and done.
My engineer says it's, according to him, he's not from Scituate, but he says it's overdone by about a factor of 4, so.
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
That's the way we like
I
it.
bet you'd probably like it about there.
Thank you. So, do
I have one more question, and maybe it's more for Lorraine. Has the Voyage already shut down their package store piece? Okay, so I just wanted to understand the effective date of that transfer. Perfect, great.
Would you like a motion?
Yes, please?
Move that the Board of Selectmen approve the transfer of liquor license from O'Callahan's Package Store LLC to CCO Holdings LLC, doing business as Driftway Market, for premises located at 48-52 New Driftway, with the hours of operation of 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Sunday.
Second?
Second by Mr. Vignani, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Is there a common vic?
Move that the Board of Selectmen approve a common vic license for CCO Holdings LLC, doing business as Driftway Market, for premises located at 48-52 New Driftway, pending receipt of workers' comp insurance.
Yep.
It should say an approval by the Board of Health as well.
And approval by the Board of Health.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr.
Aye.
Goodrich, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Best wishes to you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Welcome to Scituate.
Good luck.
Good luck.
He's from Situate.
Well, welcome to business to Scituate.
Yes.
Yes.
They don't actually issue the license until the tip certification is in, right? I don't think they do.
So now
No,
we
they can't sell
have
until they get
board
the
and committee
occupancy permit.
appointments, interviews.
It's a little early.
All right.
Because I indicated it would be 7:30.
Ooh, look at you.
So
Just speeding right along.
Speeding right along.
All right, let me see here.
But I think we could go to.
We get Drew.
8:20?
The 8:20
That's a good one.
items, if you'd like.
Does anyone need to be here?
And everybody's here that needs to be here for all of those things.
All right, so we can start with then the 8:20 discuss vote municipal employee disclosure for Deborah Ann Young, Mary Ellen Hunt, and Joseph Massaret. Did I say that correctly? I don't know. I guess.
Yes.
So
Massaret.
this is a standard thing that we do when we have employees who are working potentially in different departments, especially during the summer.
We're getting more than compensated for more than one place in the municipality.
Okay. So, does anyone have any questions about these applications or this discuss vote?
I'm looking for it, but this is pretty standard.
Yep. Any idea what page we're on?
Does anyone want to make
Page
a
89.
motion?
You can find it, we will.
I can make a motion. I think there's two, so here's the first one.
There's three, I think.
You put two on the same motion because they were both working.
Working at
same
COA,
motion.
yeah.
Oh, found it.
I just have the agenda, I
Page 89.
haven't been looking at the motion, so.
Move that the Select Board, as required by Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, have reviewed the disclosure forms from the following municipal employees who seek to provide personnel services to the Council on Aging. The exemption under Section 20B is approved for the municipal employees Deborah Ann Young and Mary Ellen Hunt.
Second?
Second by Ms. Canfield, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Next motion, please.
Move that the Select Board, as required by Mass General Laws, Chapter 268A, have reviewed the disclosure forms from the following municipal employees who seek to provide personnel services to Widows Walk. The exemption under Section 20B is approved for the municipal employee Joseph Mazaret. I hope I said that correct. Mazaret.
Second. Second by
That's
Ms.
right.
Curran, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Can we discuss vote the signatory authorization for Clean Water Trust?
Yep.
Okay. Well,
Really, it's just to authorize Kevin Cafferty to sign it. We did the same thing with the green sand filter a year or so ago. Just when the paperwork comes in, we don't have to wait for an intervening board meeting. He can apply for all the grants and sign it. That's really all it is, just permission for him to sign the grant applications.
any questions? All right. Do I hear a motion?
Our clerk can read the motion?
This is my nice long one.
Long one.
Yes.
I was glad I didn't have to read it.
Whereas, whereas the town of Scituate, after thorough investigation, has determined that the work activity consisting of a new water treatment plant to replace the old Oaken Bucket treatment plant, including, appurtenant piping and SCADA control elements, is both in the public interest and necessary to protect the public health. And whereas, at town meeting in the spring of 2019 approved a capital funding article that included the design money for the project, and whereas the Select Board are the governing body with authority to spend such capital money, and that to undertake the construction activity for the project, it is necessary to apply for assistance. And whereas the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP, and the Massachusetts Clean Water Trust, the Trust of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, pursuant to Chapter 21 and Chapter 29C of the General Laws of the Commonwealth, Chapter 21 and Chapter 29C, are authorized to make loans and/or award grants to municipalities for the purpose of funding planning construction activities relative to drinking water protection projects, and whereas the applicant has examined the provisions of the Act, Chapter 21 and Chapter 29C, and believes it to be in the public interest to file for fiscal year 22 project evaluation form, PEF, and if listed for funding on the intended use plan, the IUP, would be filing a loan application. Now therefore be it resolved by the town of Scituate as follows. The Town of Scituate Town Administrator James Boudreau and DPW Director Kevin Cafferty are hereby authorized to act on behalf of the applicant to file applications and execute applications and agreements for grant and/or loan assistance, as well as furnishing such information, data, and documents pertaining to the applicant for a grant and/or loans as may be required, and otherwise to act as the authorized representative of the applicant in connection with this PEF application. Done.
Second.
Second by Ms. Curran.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0. So, moving right along here. So Jim, do you want to give us an update on the Coast Guard station?
So in your packet is I call the preliminary letter that we sent to the Coast Guard. So, it was on about July 23rd, we get notified that the Federal Register had posted on June 6th a notice that they were taking comments for the closure of the Scituate Coast Guard station, and the comment period ended on August 3rd. So we got that late notice. We scrambled to put together a meeting with the district commander, Captain Benson, expressed our concerns right out of the gate, and asked that we be given an extension until the middle of September so people can go back from vacation and we can do all the things we needed to do. And they have posted an extension until September 22nd.
Oh, good.
So that's a good thing. The plan that the Coast Guard has, which is absolutely ridiculous, would be that the Scituate Seasonal Coast Guard Station would close The 29-foot boat that we have in Scituate would then go to Point Allerton in Hull, and that would be the response station for the entire sector, which goes from Hull to the Manomet section of Plymouth. All responses would then be out of Hull. This is not a monetary thing, I can tell you that. Our rent for the Coast Guard is just over $3,000 a year. Then they would have water and sewer, electric bills, so the total cost down there can't be more than $5,000 or $6,000. The slip is free. It makes absolutely no sense. We've had a meeting now with every town from Cohasset to Plymouth. We have put together a series of questions for the Coast Guard to answer in terms of what the response times are going to be, what are the changes going to be, so we can put together a response from all the towns to try to stop this. We've also activated, obviously, Senator Warrens and Senator Markey, Representative Keating, Representative Lynch, our legislative delegation here, and we're working on getting Governor Baker involved. So once we have all the information, we will be, I think, having a very large press conference to denounce this. Our position is very clear. On the water, seconds count. We just heard it tonight. On the water, seconds count. We have more boaters. We have more boating accidents. We seem to be having more storms of greater ferocity, and the Coast Guard answer is, we're going to increase response times to the sector. It makes absolutely no sense from a public safety point of view. Speaking for Plymouth, Plymouth is concerned right now. The 29 takes a trip down to Plymouth. Every now and then it goes through Plymouth Harbor. They feel if it goes to Point Allerton, they will never see the Coast Guard down that end of Plymouth. The other response for Plymouth is from the Sandwich Station, which is not that far from Plymouth, but that station also covers all the way through to the other side of the canal. So if their boat's on the other side of the canal and you have to wait for the boat to come, it's going to take forever. So we're estimating from Point Allerton, and these are estimates, we've asked for the actual numbers, in ideal conditions, it's 25 minutes to the Spit. It's over an hour to Plymouth, and that's in ideal conditions. As you guys know better than I do, most boating accidents don't happen in ideal conditions. So if you add 2 to 4 foot seas, 25 to 30 knot winds, that 29 is going to take 45 minutes to an hour to get to the Spit. Now the Coast Guard's response has been, if we put everybody at Point Allerton, the sector will still be within our 2-hour limit of response. Not good enough.
No.
Not good enough. And the other, some of the other things we talked about, all of our response protocols on the water in the summertime are based upon the Coast Guard being there. We train with the Coast Guard. We respond with the Coast Guard. As the board is aware, at 1 o'clock on a Tuesday night, our Marine unit is not on the water. They are home. They are in bed. If something happens and I have to rely on the Marine unit, we have to wait for them to get up, get dressed, drive down to the boat, and respond. The Coast Guard is right there. That's what they're for. They are our first line of defense late at night and on times when our Marine unit's not working. So the impact on us, aside from a public safety standpoint, is each one of the communities in that sector now will have to decide whether or not we're going to have to increase our budgets for our harbor masters and our maritime units to provide more coverage now that the Coast Guard is going away. I can tell you the congressional delegation is vehemently opposed to this. They are with us. Our legislative delegation is opposed to this. I'm sure when we get to Governor Baker is going to be opposed to this. So we will be putting all that information together. We are pressing the Coast Guard for the information we asked for. And a lot of it is what I just went over. Exactly how long does it take the boat in ideal conditions? How long will it take the boat in less than ideal conditions? And we're talking about the 29-foot, which is the boat in Scituate, because the 47 is out of Point Allerton all the time anyway. So what happens with the 29? But it boggles my mind that, one, this is coming up, and two, we were notified about 10 days before the closure time that we had to respond. So we're glad we got the extension, and we're going to work on a unified response from all the communities here to try to stop this.
Well, if I can, I would like to thank Jim. He's jumped right on this and had an immediate meeting with the Coast Guard commander and her second in command, two women, I might add, as commanders. And they responded very well, I thought, to what you discussed with them. And then you quickly put together a meeting of all the surrounding towns with all of the various harbor masters and police chiefs, and it was very impressive, and, it was a very quick action, and I think you articulated it to the entire group as to why it was important. And they just went around the whole room and basically reiterated what Jim was saying, and especially as it relates to the number of new boaters in the water, new boats, unlike people who don't know what they're doing. So it's become a big problem from Cohasset all the way down to Plymouth, and so I want to thank you, Jim, for doing it. And can we post on the town website where people might be able to send comments to?
Yeah, we can put the link to the Federal Register up.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I think, I would encourage anyone who cares about this to write directly into the Federal Register, because that's where all the comments get collected, and it makes a big difference. I mean, having been on the receiving end of some email campaigns for various things in town, I know that when you start to see a lot of comment, it really starts to make an impression on you. So I would encourage anyone who cares about the Coast Guard station down there to,
I know Steve Mona, our harbor master, has sent out an email with the link to all the people in his boating list. So I know the Mass Lobster Association is on board. They've sent comments. And one of the last things we said in the meeting was make sure you go and talk to your commercial fishing boats, talk to the people in your harbor, get them activated and get them riding. So I'm hoping all the other towns are doing that also.
whip up some enthusiasm, folks. Karen, did you have anything to say about your encounter with the Coast Guard?
I would love to mention that, but first I have a couple of questions for Jim. So the deadline for comments is the 22nd. Do we have a timeline, so what happens after that? What's the period for their review?
It doesn't really say in there, but
Okay.
the closure would be for fiscal
summer.
2022, which would be next summer for us,
Next
right?
summer, Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't really know what the deliberation is. Okay. And do you have a sense of when you think a press conference would be appropriate? Before, I would assume, before that date?
Prior to Labor Day is what we're hoping.
Okay. All right. Whatever support you need from this board, let us know.
Yeah.
And
We're gonna-
yes, I had an opportunity to discuss this with, directly with the Coast Guard when they boarded my boat this weekend. So they are very efficient.
Tony?
Nope, Karen asked my question.
Okay. Maura?
I have a question. Was there any opinion from the Allerton Coast Guard group on this that was submitted, or are they just kind of following protocol and don't have any commentary on it?
Yes.
Okay. And, oh gosh, I had a second one. You might have to come back to me.
All right,
Sorry.
Andrew?
That was
Obviously, the
one.
Coast Guard has a chain of command, and the sector commanders and
Right.
the boat commanders are going to follow the dictates. And, the Federal Register, which I agree with the harbor master from Marshall, is one of the worst written things I've ever seen in my life. Talks about training synergies, and
Yeah.
it was a lot of crap, really.
I'm trying to find, I did receive some feedback on the link that was sent out by the harbor master. I don't know if it wasn't directly to, I'm trying to find the correspondence that I received just to take a look at it to make sure it's more direct. So,
If you just Google Federal Register and search Scituate, it's the first two ones that come up. The original and then the extension.
Well, if I could add, there was a change of command, I believe,
Correct.
in the Boston sector, so there might have been a transfer of information issue, but clearly this has been going on for a while, and we just didn't know about it.
I know what my second question was.
Go for it.
Sorry. Has anybody expressed the likelihood of our ability to reverse this decision?
I'm optimistic, but I think a lot of that's going to depend upon how much pressure our congressional delegation can bring.
And put on them? Okay.
So how receptive has I guess I would say the Plymouth delegation, but how amped up are they about this? And
Plymouth's very concerned because they're at the end of the sector.
Right.
And as I said, they see the 29 every now and then. The guys get on, then they go through Plymouth Harbor and they'll do some stuff. They're concerned that if the 29 moves up to Point Allerton, they'll never see the Coast Guard unless it's an emergency.
Okay, and there's not one person in particular for comments, it's just the Federal Register, you think?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've pointed the federal delegation, I said, just go right to the comment out of the Coast Guard, and then go over his head if you have to, but just start yelling at someone and then go up. I mean, I think, we discussed it briefly in the meeting, I think this is a first step in a larger plan that the Coast Guard might have, that they'll move this boat to Point Allerton. And then in a couple of years, instead of 2 boats at Point Allerton, there'll only be 1 boat at Point Allerton. Those people will get relocated someplace else. So I'm really concerned about the overall long-range picture that the Coast Guard's not telling us about.
Right.
Yep.
Well, if there's a long-term picture, they should tell us, but, all right. Any other questions? Thanks, Jim, for keeping this moving.
Yeah, and when I get anything, I'll let you know. We're working on the press conference now, trying to get some dates, but a lot of it's going to be dependent upon when we get the information from the Coast Guard, so we can actually give correct information at a press conference. But I know Ruth already interviewed me for a story. The radio's talked to us a couple times. When Channel 25 was down last week on the shark sighting, I pitched it to them. So we're going to try a couple other news stories to try to get some publicity and really ramp up the pressure to keep this open.
It works.
Thank you for jumping on that.
It's not quite 7:30, so maybe I can just give everyone a quick update. Well, this is going to take a minute. Why don't I just do it, and then that's checked off my list. As most of you probably know, there has been a vacancy created on the school committee. Michael Hayes resigned, and I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to him for his many, many, many years of service, especially to the school community. But he is moving on, and so there is a vacancy on the school committee that needs to be filled, and it will be filled through a process created by a statute, a state statute, and it essentially means that the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, and the school committee will meet in joint session to interview people who may be interested in becoming a candidate and to fill that position. The position will only be filled until the May 2022 election. We don't have the date yet, but so it's kind of a short-term appointment. But obviously, when you have a board that makes a lot of policy decisions, you want to be able to have a full board, because if you have a split vote, that is a negative vote. So they're anxious to get this filled, and we're going to help them do it. We've scheduled interviews for candidates for, is it the 8th and the 9th, Maureen? I can't read this, it's too little. And that will be for candidate interviews. We did schedule 2 nights, thinking perhaps we might have more than a few candidates. If that is the case, then, you know, we'll use the 2 nights, but if not, we'll only use 1 night. And then we've scheduled the vote between the 2 joint committees on September 15th. So if anyone has any questions or is interested in applying, they should send a resume and a cover letter to Lorraine, because the Board of Selectmen, the Select Board, is in charge of this process. So that's about all I have to say. We did send a notice out via the town website and via the school website, so people should, you know that this is happening.
And applications are due by August 20th by 4:30 to the Select Board's office.
So, August 20th, deadline, 4:30, Selectmen's office. Any questions?
Lorraine, have we gotten any?
Not so far.
Not so far.
I've had a few inquiries, but nothing at hand.
Yeah, I know the school department had a few people calling, and I got an email or 2, but nothing official yet, so we'll see.
Well, I would like to say that I think it's really important. There are a lot of issues, so if there are folks out there that are concerned about their children's education, then it's important to fill this seat in the next 8 months. You know, they've got contract negotiations going on right now, and then still COVID. You know, COVID and bringing the kids back, still a big concern for a lot of parents. So don't be remiss. You know, it's an opportunity to really make an impact, and I think it's important, so I hope folks do come forward.
The school just sends it out in a peach jar today, too. So I asked them to do that to reach a lot of
Great.
audience.
Oh, good, great.
And Ruth's doing peach.
And there is the possibility of us building a new school and going through the MSBA, Mass School Building Authority process. So there's a lot going on in the school department and school committee, and they need good people.
Amen.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm only 2 minutes off schedule for our board and committee interviews. And is Jorge Viega here for the beautification committee? Yes, sir. Would you like to come up? Yes, speak into the microphone so people can hear you. Hi, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in the beautification committee?
Yeah, I love the this town so much, and it's got a lot of talent and everything, and just like I have no complaints about it. I'm saying this town is so nice. Town is beautiful town, and this is why I want to volunteer to make look beautiful.
Are you a landscaper, or do you, have a
well,
business doing that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to make beautiful.
More beautiful.
Yes.
Yes.
Of course, yes. More beautiful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I just did it like the Rotary thing. I don't know if you saw it yet.
The 3A Rotary?
Yes, I did it. I
It looks
volunteered.
spectacular.
Spectacular?
Yes.
I love this word.
Yes.
I love it.
Well,
Thank you so much for this. But you're not done yet. It takes a little bit, little by little.
Well, it was an eyesore for a really, really, really long time, and then Chris Kennedy managed to get the state to allow us
Yes,
to do something.
Thank you to I'm sorry. Thank you to Kennedy's
Yes.
to give me the green light to do it. Make
Well,
beautiful.
It's just, I'm down in that area, so I see it all the time, and it gets better and better and better, so
This is
really
me.
appreciate it, those of us
My
who
pleasure.
ride around the Rotary a lot.
My pleasure. I love this town so much. It's just like this beautiful town, and yeah, like I drive there like all the time and everything. I just want to see beautiful over there.
Well, and all of us who have ever run for election, we've stood down at that Rotary holding our sign, so
Yes.
it's kind of a landmark in town, so you should be very proud of yourself that it looks so
So
great.
thank you so much. I'm so glad you guys like it.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure to make beautiful.
So, any questions from the board, Andrew or Maura?
Check.
I like
Checkmate. I mean,
volunteering
that
some
Rotary is amazing.
I know.
That's
I mean,
what
it's like-
calling
more. I like this one too. I like it. Amazing.
It's incredible.
The
Yes.
only question I have is, have you talked to the folks that are already on beautification and how they're set up and the
No, no, no,
committee
no.
and all of that? Right, yep.
She's the one helped me out to get here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So I could comment.
Mr. Viega came into the office and he would like to help out in Scituate. He wanted to do some work at different places because he's a wonderful person. And he has been volunteering for Kennedy's to do the Rotary. We talked and I said the best avenue for him to do his volunteer work is through the Beautification Commission, because then they can steer him in the right direction. If projects they know they want to do, and he's done such a fabulous job.
Thank you so much.
So,
I can say something?
One
Yes,
sec.
sir.
I can say something to represent him?
Yes.
Steve Sundberg,
He's my friend.
50 years, born and raised in Scituate. This man is the hardest worker, all for no money, takes care of that Rotary, puts pride into it. This is the man right here. Boy, my best friend right here.
Nice.
I love it.
We love endorsements.
I love this town so much, but I'm saying I like to kind of volunteer if it's possible to do the police station and the fire department stuff, the whole 9-yard stuff and everything. I like to make this place look beautiful.
Well, I'd like to introduce you to Maura Curran. She is
If it's
the
possible.
Select Board's liaison to the Beautification Commission, so she knows all the people who are on the commission.
Thank you. They would welcome your expertise. I think, the group is very diverse. They take care of many different areas around town. You'll probably have to work with them to figure out which areas in town are open, if you will, and need your expertise. There are many of them. So I don't know if they can guarantee the police station, but they may be willing just to say, yes, we would love you to do that. So just be prepared for that. That it's a large group, but they work well together, and I know they would welcome your expertise, and I know I do, so.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming forward.
It's beautiful town. It's like I love it. I have no complaints. I live here. I'm sorry. I live here for 14 years.
Did you?
I have no complaints. It's like so beautiful town.
Good. Great. Well, they're always looking for great people and hardworking, and there's, a lot of areas in town that could need some support, so I appreciate you volunteering.
It's my pleasure, sir.
Great. Ms. Canfield?
No, well, what we normally do is we go through all the interviews toward the end of the meeting, we'll have our vote and.
Thank you so much for
and Lorraine will let
having
you know
this
what's going on.
opportunity to
Great, well, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much.
I like your geckos. Very appropriate.
You don't, I just want to let you know, you needn't sit through, suffer the rest of the meeting if you don't want to. If you want to,
You don't have to stay.
you don't have to stay.
Oh, I have to say?
No. You can if you want.
Lorraine will call you.
Usually people bolt as fast as they can.
Lorraine,
So, next,
how many openings are on beautification? Quite a bit.
We'll let them know. Lorraine will call you and tell you.
yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Yeah, it'll be a good,
Four openings.
Big Istanbul,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Let's turn it
Thank you.
4 openings.
I'm guessing you're Erin Hurd?
No.
No. So, is the lady behind? No.
over with the real Erin.
Oh, no Erin Hurd here yet. Linda Noble, Beach Commission? Thank you, Linda.
It says beautification.
beautification.
Is that for the beautification?
Yes.
I had to withdraw from that.
Yes, we knew that.
We changed it
And
to
I-
Beach Commission.
Beach Commission.
Perfect.
I took care of that.
Yes, great, thank you.
So, if you
That's gonna be
could,
a pretty tough act to follow.
you'll do fine. Could you give us some information about you and why you're interested in the Beach Commission?
Sure, I'm Linda Noble. I moved to Scituate just about 2 years ago. I live down in the harbor area. My family is from Scituate. My dad was born and raised here. We're a very large family, and we grew up on the beaches here. Even though I grew up in Marshfield, spent all of my days young, both in the youth and up till now on the beaches on the North and South River, at the Spit. So my passion is anything to do with the waterways and the beaches. So I'm a firm believer that if you're living in a community, that it's your responsibility to chip in and to do whatever you can, and it's best if you're doing something that you're passionate about. So I'm very resourceful. My background is in compliance, so I'm project management compliance, so have an ability to get things done and don't stop at roadblocks and just sort of figure out the next venue to go or the next avenue to go in if you hit a roadblock. So I think I can add some value to the committee and help out.
Thank you for volunteering.
You're welcome.
Tony, would you like to start?
I'll come back.
All right. Maura?
Sure. I think a lot of folks are kind of retiring off. You know, they've been on it since its inception. So having the skill set that you have, which you just described, I think is really important. They've done a lot of great things for the beaches
Yes.
to, add great amenities, but still, I think more work to be done. So I thank you for coming forward. Is there anything that you sort of have in mind that you've seen in other beaches or leaving and coming back that you would like to see enhanced at any of the beaches today? Like, are you coming with any sort of ideas and thoughts and things that you'd like to accomplish?
Good question. Initially, I do think that whatever amenities that are provided at the beaches is always the best way to go, but also to make sure that they're staffed correctly and adequately. And also I'm not sure if the beach committee would oversees or how much of the overseeing or input they have on the training of the lifeguards and all, and the team and all, but that's something I'd be interested to make sure that, we're putting the people on there, in the locations, and they're ready for any possible
That really
event.
falls under the rec department, but
Okay.
I'm sure any feedback that the commission had for them would be welcomed. Yeah.
But, so to answer your question, not at the moment, but I'm sure once I start digging in and seeing what the parameters are and what we're, the boundaries are that we can do, I'm sure I'm going to be able to come up with some nice things, so.
I have no doubt.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming forward.
Oh, you're welcome.
Andrew?
That was my question, so, no, I mean, yeah, thank you for coming forward, and,
Pleasure.
yeah.
Karen?
Just very quickly, thank you. Yeah, when I hear compliance and organization, I'm thrilled because this group started, I forget how many years ago, and it was a core group, got off, brand new committee, got things up and running, and now they've all moved on. A great number of them have moved on, and it's time to sort of go into the sophomore year of this committee, which is going to require sort of a little, revision or a review of what the mission is and how we can really make an impact. So you'd be joining a new group basically to that's going to be looking for leadership and organization. So whereas some of our committees are long established, like beautification, it's a well-oiled machine at this point. This one is still in the developmental stage, so it's an opportunity to do that.
It seems like it'd be a great fit.
Great. As the liaison, I'd be happy to help with that.
Great.
But thank you so much and welcome home.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here, finally.
So, Tony?
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, Maura asked the question I usually ask, is there some project you're looking to get started? Have you been to any of their meetings or talked to anybody that's on the actual committee?
No, to answer your questions, no, I have not. I was looking online, and I noticed that this is something I could help out with too, the agendas are not, I believe the last one was February, it was 2020, I think it was, so
yeah.
Things, so it seems like they do need some help there, but I don't know,
No, that's fine. Like Karen said, there's there's only a couple of members right now. We're looking to get more members on there. And it really gives, a new group a fresh look at what we're doing. The previous group did great things. They put, they put great disability ramps up and really took a look at it. But, this group will be able to look at it from a different perspective and see if there's other areas that they want to pursue. So,
great.
I thank you for throwing your hat in the ring.
Sure.
Have any questions for any of us?
Not at this time, but I could most likely email the committee, or the chair of the committee if I had questions, or one of you.
Yep. Or Lorraine, she'll get it out to.
Lorraine, terrific, great. She's worth her weight in gold, that's for sure. She's always on top of things and responsive.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
She is.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for coming in.
Linda,
Oh, you're
thank
welcome.
you
Oh,
very
you're welcome.
much.
All right.
Nice evening.
All right, you too. Thank you.
So is Andrea Ramsay here?
Yes,
Is
she
it
is.
Andrea or Andrea?
I go by it.
Some people care about that a lot.
Ms. Ramsay.
Well, I was Andrea, and then my first job I became Andrea, because that's how my boss introduced me.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in, we have here beautification and beach. Is that right? You're interested in either or, do you have a preference?
The beach sounds pretty interesting to me, especially since there is a lot of room for, I think, impact.
Yes.
But I'd be open to either. I moved here about 10 years ago to the New England area. I'm from the Midwest originally, and met my husband within about 6 months, so I don't think we'll ever leave New England. We came to Scituate about 2 years ago. I was 6 months pregnant when we found the house. And we've just fallen in love with Scituate. My husband committed treason by coming from the North Shore to
Oh, that is treason, yes.
I had no idea.
You've survived.
Yes, I had no idea.
Oh, yes.
But even in spite of COVID, because we got here, we had the baby, and then I was ready to rejoin the living because my maternity leave was up, and then COVID started. It's been a fabulous community. And I've always liked being a part of whatever community I am in, so I found the best way to do that is to volunteer. We used to live in Beverly, so I was a weekly volunteer at the food pantry for Beverly Bootstraps.
Nice.
I also volunteered with the Great Dog Rescue New England. That's where we got our dog from. Previous to that, like when I lived in Chicago, I was a Shad Aquarium volunteer. I did Big Brothers Big Sisters. So I find it very important and a really great way to become part of the community. And unfortunately with COVID, it's been a lot harder to meet people.
Yes,
and become involved in the community. So when I saw the email that these things were open, it just was like, oh, I'll try this. For beautification, I love the garden. I have a ton of houseplants. I'm learning how to take care of a lawn. Can't say I'm doing really well with crabgrass.
They don't make you mow the lawn in beautification commission, it'd be okay.
But I do like to plant. I really love, just being out there.
And I think that there's a lot of really great things that they're doing already. You know, you see the signs around town, you see the little flower boxes and stuff, and the 3A, I mean, gosh, that's such a resume builder, because that little rotary looks so good now.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's beautiful. I take my son to school and we go by it every day. For the Beach Commission, I've spent, we've been at the beach almost every day. We live in the Minot area, so we walk there. I have 2 kids that are 1 and 3. We take our dog there all the time, but we also go to Peggotty, we also go to Egypt. We don't get to Hammerock as often. It's a little further drive. And I think that the beaches are wonderful, so I just want to make sure that they stay that way. You know, keep them clean, keep them environmentally where they need to be. I really love the fact that, you know, you were saying that the ADA compliance has been something that's been brought forward. I think that's wonderful, and any further steps that can be done on that. My background, it is engineering. I'm a mechanical engineer. Resigned last summer due to daycare. And so right now I'm home with my kids, but they're both starting morning preschool this fall, so I'll have some time on my hands until I go back to work. But for right now, I'm kind of enjoying being home with the kids, so that's me.
That's great. Welcome to town.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Sure, so there's 2 committees, right? One of them is more hands-on. The beautification committee is really out there, planting, digging, cleaning, all that sort of stuff. You know, the beach committee is more planning, looking for, you know, visualizing what they want to do, trying to get the funds to have it happen and that sort of stuff. So there are 2 kind of things. You can always volunteer. Yeah, you can always volunteer for the beautification. You don't actually have to be on the committee. Have you watched any meetings? Gone to any meetings? Anything really? You know, the questions we asked last round. Anything really stick out to you as something that you want to, you know, grab a hold of and try and work on?
Well, the beach one, I can say I noticed the exact same thing as Linda did, that there aren't any agendas posted for the last year, so it was kind of hard to tell what's been going on there. I have done project management quite a bit in my previous lives, and so I do think that for the planning, the strategic, the fundraising side, that would be something I could really get into, especially if there's like any data that we could grab a hold of. For the beautification, that would be great too, but no, I have not had an opportunity to meet any of the individuals on either committee or watch them. I do watch your weekly Monday things though, so it's nice to see all of you in person, and yourself as well, Jim, because you're on every single one with your background.
Jim wishes it
His
wasn't
halo's
so
missing
popular,
tonight, yeah.
because we make him keep doing it. He wishes the viewership would go down, but it doesn't.
No, I like it.
Thank you.
You're the one.
Thank you, you're hired.
She's the one.
Great, yeah, so are you looking to be on both? I guess that's what we need to get. Are you picking one or the other, or are you looking
I don't think I'd like to be on both. I don't know exactly where the greatest need is. If I had to state a preference, beach would be my preference, but...
So we only have 2 members on beach, and we have a lot of openings. What do we have?
Okay. Yeah.
So
I
we
wasn't
don't-
really
we-
sure on
Think
that.
about it.
That's the biggest
5
opportunity.
openings, so we don't have a quorum. They probably haven't had minutes, because they may have not had a quorum to have a meeting.
Okay.
So
beach would be my preference. That's where I would like to go. But beautification, like I said, it seemed like it kind of had a set thing, and it'd be something I could quickly get involved in some way. And if there's still opportunities to volunteer to help plant, like I know they had the what was it? The May Day.
Islands, yeah.
Spring ship shape.
Yes, that's what it was. I was trying to remember what the thing was. So yeah, like we did some of that trash collection, and that was great. So.
Great. All right, thank you for volunteering.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Nope, I think we've covered it all, and as we said, we'll vote later tonight.
All set.
And as Tony pointed out, though, you can absolutely just, ask for, if there's a need for a volunteer from the Beautification Commission, rather than like full-blown jumping into that committee as well. So you can do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome to stay.
And Lorraine will notify you tomorrow morning
Okay.
as to, we will very likely vote tonight.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
Nice
I
to
am
meet you.
going to take off. I do have a book club I'm going to try to get.
Much more
Yeah.
exciting.
Goodbye, Moon.
Yeah.
She has to.
Good night.
Good
Get
night.
right.
Yeah.
So, Matthew Ficken McKinley,
Blue Bear.
oh, yeah. good night moon.
I always feel like the fourth interview, you just say, okay, answer all the
So,
questions.
Yeah.
would you mind telling us about yourself and what committee you're interested in? We have, I think, 3 that you've listed, so if you'd like to tell us about yourself first, and then which committee you're most interested in.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I was actually delighted I got to throw on the sport coat for the first time in like a year and a half. So it's pretty yeah, I'm newer. My wife and I just moved to Scituate a year ago. We just had our first. We had a baby boy. His name's Max. He was born May 30th. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And I'll echo what's actually been shared. It's you move here, you're just like, oh my gosh, this is like a little slice of heaven here. This is a great place to be, and I'm always looking for ways to get involved with, whether it was my high school or college or fraternity or at work doing things above and beyond. So I'm always looking for service positions and areas to be of service, and I really feel like Scituate's going to be our home for, I think, a very, very long time. And so I was very interested to get involved. And I saw a few things that sounded like you just needed some people to get involved. And again, that's my first and foremost thing, is I would love to be of service to the town of Scituate. I listed first the diversity and inclusion. And again, I don't know the level to which you need help there, but I don't have any professional experience there per se, although I've been a part of several different as in I've participated in the trainings for several diversity and inclusion programs throughout different places I've worked through the years. I also did for the last 7 years, this was the first year I didn't do it, co-chaired and sponsored an event through, it was actually through my high school, but we raised about $100,000 for underrepresented minorities trying to get private education. Nice. Anyway, so I've got some experience there. It's obviously, there's definitely I don't know how obvious it is, but it is a topic I'm very passionate about. So I thought that would be somewhere I could put some effort and be of help. I'll leave to your question. I feel like I know a few of the questions that might come my way, but I'll wait. And then I had also put the sister city. I think it's Cork, Ireland. I've got a former coworker from Cork. Other than that, I don't know a ton about Cork, Ireland, but I had some ideas for the diversity and inclusion. Just some ideas, and again, I don't know the existing members of the committee might be like, hey, been there, done that, not a good idea, whatever. But some of them sort of transferred over to some of these things we could do with other coastal towns. Anyway, and then I'd also put down the coastal advisory. If there was a huge need there, I'd be happy to help out. I'm not. I may lack credentials there. I'm not exactly sure, but anyway, I think I'll pause there.
All right, Maura. Maura's our resident expert in addition to beautification. She's got the diversity.
DEI and coastal.
Oh, yeah. So you're the twofer here.
So DEI, there was a position open, and so they're a fairly new group, and really evaluating the town's policies and procedures to see where there's any improvement that's needed. So they're really going through pretty deeply into everything that all the different departments are doing. So just to make sure that we are inclusive and can improve any of our policies from that aspect. So that has one position open. And then Coastal Advisory probably has a couple of positions open. Where's Washington Lane in Scituate? I don't know where that is.
It's right with Beaver Dam.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I always miss Sean Harris
The
on these
President
nights
Streets.
because I don't know where. Yeah, okay.
Jefferson.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, Sean knows where every street in America is, specifically Scituate. So anyway, I only ask that because Coastal Advisory, we like to have a nice cross-section of representation, and we don't always get folks inland that come to get on Coastal Advisory, which is excellent, because what they do is they really take a look at all the different foreshore protection projects that are ongoing along the coastline, so whether it's seawalls, beach erosion, and working with our coastal resource officer, who is new here.
Okay.
So a lot of their role is really connecting what needs to be done with the town and communicating those big projects to the residents and connecting the two and making sure that folks are informed, because there's a lot of acceptance and engagement that needs to happen in order for projects to be successful along the coast. Like, so when you're building seawalls, people are very protective of their backyards.
Yeah, I can imagine.
When you want to re-nourish a beach, people don't want the beach to change, so a lot of education takes place. And you have a lot of great sales experience, which I think would help with that. You know, you don't necessarily need to be a coastal engineer. We've got a couple of those on there today, yeah.
Although, and not on my resume, sorry to interrupt, but not on my resume, I used to work summers as a land surveyor, so I don't know if any of that'll...
There you go.
Or that'll cross over.
Got some engineering in there too, which would be great.
15 years ago, though.
I mean, I love your enthusiasm, so anywhere would be great, but I just wanted to share with you some of those different roles and responsibilities. And I just came back from Alabama this weekend, so.
Roll Tide.
Oh, Roll Tide, no way. What were you doing down there, I wonder? Maybe that's right after the meeting.
A wedding.
Okay.
What else brings you to Alabama, right?
Yeah,
If you're from the north.
I was
probably.
very curious, yeah. Why you go down to Alabama in August, but...
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we talked about that, but.
So there you go, that's a little bit of a description, but I think you'd be equally qualified for any of them, so.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah, I was looking for a little more information on the coastal advisory on the website, and from what I saw, I couldn't get a good sense of what was...
Yeah, it's tough to get. You're not alone.
Okay. Well, maybe there's somewhere, maybe we can
Well,
help
you know,
out.
actually, somewhere you can look that people don't often think about is if you go onto the town website and look up the committee, you can look up minutes of meetings that can sort of give you some sense of how often, you know, what they talk about at the meetings and that sort of thing, so.
Okay.
FYI. They should all be there. Andrew?
It's more thinking out loud more than a question. I'm actually going to piggyback on what Maura was saying, because your background is very impressive. A lot of it, it's not just in sales, but it's also in, I see some PR, but also kind of business processes, sorts of things, which I think does actually kind of align really well. I mean, the coastal advisory, like you said, going through some of those processes might be, I think you're more qualified for that than you might think, talking about those processes.
Sure. Yeah.
And things the consulting work that you've done. No, listen, I think you have a great outlook, and yeah, I guess I'm just trying to think the best spot.
Right.
But that's where I'm thinking. There's really no question. I was really just thinking out loud.
Okay, yeah, no, I appreciate the input, yeah.
Ms. Canfield?
Yeah, another observation. Ed, thank you so much for coming out, and welcome to Scituate.
Thank you.
Great neighborhood. Yeah, looking at the different committees, we're in a lovely situation as a board, is that we have so many enthusiastic, great people raising their hands to help with these committees, and not so many spots to put them all. So each of those coastal, if I'm reading it right, coastal and equity, have coastal has one, you said?
Yes, but
Just one?
one person.
Okay, one person, and DEI,
I
and then
haven't
we
heard
have...
back from other people that are renewing, so there could potentially be more.
Okay, so we'll sort that, but we have a number of applicants, so there's always that. So we never like to turn any volunteers away, for sure.
Yeah.
So I guess the only question for you is, obviously you've been involved in volunteer work, so you know the time commitments and all that. Both of these committees, is DEI meeting every other week or never?
It's pretty much every other week.
Every other
At
week.
Coastal, when they're on a good cadence, is once a month. We just hired a coastal resource officer, so there really hasn't been a lot of meetings lately, just because of that vacancy as well. So it's probably why you don't see a lot of minutes right there either, because they haven't met a lot recently.
And that's, obviously, you knew about that as a volunteer before. So, yeah, so this is, we'll have to, I think with both of these committees, we still have others to interview, so we probably won't decide today.
Right.
But Lorraine will keep you in the loop of where things are, and if you have questions in the interim, just reach out to any of us.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
These three committees in particular now, as the board just mentioned, there's like one opening on each.
Okay.
And we have multiple people to interview, so you were the first one.
Okay.
So they'll be interviewing other people over the next couple of meetings.
Okay.
But what else?
Well, yeah, I put down in my notes, first and foremost, my priority was getting involved with the town of Scituate in some sort of service capacity. So, if you find a place for me, enthusiasm fits, my experience fits, let me know. I'm happy to be here and be
You're right, we
helpful.
appreciate it very much.
That's great.
Yes.
We won't let you get far.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Thank you for coming in.
So I think that does it for board and committee tonight, unless I'm not reading this properly.
Mark Devereaux, Aaron Hurd.
That was, well, Erin is not here. And Matthew, I think, has been rescheduled to 8:24.
Mark.
Sorry. Matthew, Mark. Look it up.
Should be on a letter right now. I'll get in touch with Mary.
So it's a little after 8, so I think we can go back to discuss vote emergency sewer connection, parcel ID number 39-27-22. Drew Shealy is here from the Board of Health. Hello, Director Drew.
Hello, how's everyone tonight?
Good.
Nice to be here.
Great. So, we have before us a
Failed
question.
system in Title V that has the ability to hook up to town sewer, and per Title V, if they have the ability, they have to hook up.
And can you give us the address?
It's 211 Tilden. And it's a 3-bedroom, single-family home.
So this is a house that has sewer running
It
by
has,
it.
yes, they have to come down a short distance, and they're aware of it, and they're aware that they have to absorb the costs to get to the spot where they have to get.
And to hook up and
Yes.
all of that.
And they'll abandon the cesspool in the rear of the property and fill it according to Title V.
And you and the Board of Health are recommending that we
Yes.
approve this. All right. Any questions, Tony?
I think you asked it, but they're aware of the fee to get
Yes.
into it as well. And is there some event that caused it to fail? It's been there for a while,
It's
right?
been there a long time. If it's a cesspool, it's been there a long time.
So it's just now failing, or they're just
Yes.
now getting around to?
No, thank you for providing
Yep.
on the background. Sorry.
Yeah, no questions. I think it's
Maura?
no-brainer.
No, if you're recommending that, if there's no way in which they can enhance the septic system on site, yeah, okay.
When you say cesspool, that's like,
We have
Really a
we
lot.
have a lot, and some of them function perfectly fine. They just it is what it is.
Andrew, anything?
No, I'm just going over this again. No. Yeah.
Karen? Yep. All right. Do
Want a
I hear
motion?
A motion, please, Mr. Vignano?
Move to approve an emergency sewer connection for parcel ID 39-27-22, pending connection agreement with the DPW.
Second by Ms. Canfield. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
5-0, motion carries. Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Before
you so
Drew gets
much.
out, I don't want to take too much time, but just, the board needs to know how fortunate we've been to have Drew during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
The most even-keeled person you deal with, never gets too up, never gets too excited. Someone calls, he just drives down and sits down with them and says, hey, here's what you gotta do, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. So we've been very fortunate to have such an even keel during this COVID. He keeps me from really going off the deep end, so since he's not in very often, I figure I should take the time to say nice things about him while he's here.
Since you did bring up COVID, I will say this, it is here still. The Delta variant is real. It's more contagious than the chicken pox. If you have not been vaccinated, please call your healthcare provider, call your doctor, see if the vaccine is good for you. FDA approval is probably going to be coming up in September. That is a technicality. Hundreds of millions of people around the world have taken all 3 of the vaccines that we are using in the United States. They are safe. We are afraid that the Delta variant can mutate to something else, and it could mutate to something worse. It could mutate to something less. We just don't know. We do know that the vaccine will keep you out of the hospital, out of the ICU. It prevents deaths. We started this whole thing because we wanted to keep people out of the ICUs. Back in April of 2020, we had over 1,000 people in the ICU. Over 800 people were intubated. I looked at the numbers tonight, and I believe we're going up right now in the ICU. I think it was 61 or 62, and now it's probably right around still 25 or so that are intubated. But it's going to be a pandemic of the unvaccinated. And people who get vaccinated can still get it, but it's going to be very mild. But 99.9% of the people if you are vaccinated. So I just can't stress it enough. Talk to your healthcare providers. Let them give you what is best for you, so.
Question?
Thank you, certainly.
Yeah, just a question. Do you know what percentage of Scituate residents are?
72%
are
of
vaccinated?
Scituate residents are vaccinated.
That's excellent.
If you go up through the line, I believe 12 to 15-year-olds, we have, I think it's about 52% vaccinated.
Okay.
16 to 19, 82% vaccinated. 20 to 29, I think it drops down to about 72%. When you get up to the 60 to 75, 92%. Over 75, I think it's like 87%. But as a town, we have a little over, I think it was 18,099 residents to this census, and I think it's something like 12,000 have been fully vaccinated. So
Drew, does that eliminate the people that, the under 12-year-olds?
that includes the under 12-year-olds. They're in that number. So 72%, including that number from 0 to 12 that aren't eligible for the vaccine.
Right.
Okay.
So we're doing really, really well. As a state, we're doing really, really well. But the virus doesn't know boundaries. It's raging down in the south, and there are a lot of ICUs and a lot of hospitals that are getting overwhelmed. And that's going to be the indicator in the state of Massachusetts as far as what kind of, strategies we use to combat it. It's what are the hospitals looking like?
Right.
So.
Thank you.
Andrew, you serve on the, I don't know what the name of it is, the Health and Safety Committee for the school department?
Yes.
There are a couple of pediatricians on that, a couple
Yes.
of, it's a
Yes.
very robust
We actually have a
committee.
meeting, school committee meeting, I think it's tomorrow, or Thursday, I don't know, it's one of the nights. I know I have one coming up.
There's a special meeting coming
Yeah.
up just to address opening the schools and how it's going
Yes.
to work and what we should do. And so I know people are concerned, but just want everyone to know that there is this very qualified group of people
Yes.
working on just the schools.
They do a great job.
Yes, yeah. So, any questions? Anyone? Thank you. No? Thank you so much.
Thanks, Drew.
So much, everyone. Have a good night.
Have a great evening.
So we have discussed vote, request for 4 sewer connections, 626 Chief Justice Cushing Highway, Paul Mirabito, President, Ross Engineering, Inc. Thank you for coming in with your visual aids.
Wait, I'm just sharing screen.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, for the record, my name is Paul Mirabito from Ross Engineering Company, and the reason for my visit this evening is we have a client who has purchased the property at 626 Chief Justice Cushing Highway. The property is outlined on the plan. The lots in yellow are the buildable lots. Parcel 1 is some of the remaining land, that's 3.5 acres, which is not buildable. There is an existing home in the property in this location. That's fairly old. It's scheduled to be raised. This proposal is to construct 2 single-family homes in this location and perhaps a duplex in this location here. The reason they're setback is because of the setbacks from the road and also setbacks from the wetlands and the stream, which are required by the zoning bylaw and the environmental rules and regs. What we're proposing to do is to connect the 4 dwelling units to an existing sewer manhole in the school property. This is the entire school property. I started by asking the DPW if they would be in favor of this, and they asked me to check with Will Grant and make sure there's capacity in the plant, which he did confirm. And then we submitted to them a proposed sewer connection plan. If this is approved, what we would do is to submit the actual engineering drawings to the sewer department for the connection to the sewer main.
This is the high school.
The applicant obviously will be paying the rate for the sewer connection fees. The only other option would be to put the septic systems in the rear of the property. The reason why they have to go in the rear is the front property is in reserve for the stormwater infrastructure that has to go in under your stormwater bylaw. The septic systems in this area would clearly be 4 to 5 foot mounted systems. There are woods in here which have to be clear cut to accommodate those. The applicant would rather not have to do that. By installing the sewer, it would allow the land in the back to stay in its current elevation, and the homes would be serviced by sewer. The property to the right of it would work down. This is the house that was constructed by Habitat for Humanity. The town did give them some land so they could get a 40,000 square foot lot out of it. Our firm was involved in the permitted for that, so we're quite familiar with it. We also surveyed the school property for the architect that would prepare the plans for the new school, so we're quite familiar with the property. And all these resource areas have been controlled by the Conservation Commission. We're preparing the stormwater plans now. There'll be one common driveway off of 3A to service all 3 lots. And if we tie in the sewer, I think it would allow for a much better looking lot without the mounds behind the house. And that would also allow to preserve some of the woods that are behind the house that would act as a buffer between this property and the school. I think with that, I'll end and answer any questions you may have.
Well, if I could ask Will Branton, our sewer supervisor, to please come up. I know there was some emails that we received regarding this, and if you can let us know what your thoughts are about it.
Yes, this application for a sewer connection was denied by the sewer division because it does not abut existing gravity sewer with laterals provided for the lot. There is a line as indicated on the plans, but that line was not identified in a public way. It's in the school's driveway or bus access way. And then the plans also detailed running 8-inch pipes and extending the sewer out to multiple buildings. So it looked like a sewer extension, which needs to go before the board for further approval and review.
So, Will, say that again. So the sewer is going under the street where the buses go to the high school.
Yep.
So they can easily get to it, right? It's an active sewer line for the high school?
It is an active sewer line.
Okay. And why don't you want to approve it?
We didn't see that sewer line as being within a public way, and the extension is an extension of the sewer main. So it utilizes 8-inch sewer main pipes, and it involves installing manhole structures on site. So anything larger than a 6-inch sewer pipe would be considered a sewer extension if you're providing it for multiple services. The sewer rules and regulations does not allow my office to approve sewer extensions. That needs to be done by the sewer commission.
So other than the fact that you didn't approve it because the size of the pipe doesn't fit your authority, is there another reason why you wouldn't do it?
For these plans, I would make a comment to revise the plans to adjust the manhole structure such that there isn't that sweep or degree bend. That type of bend there would likely result in like a backup or blockage type issue for the properties.
Interesting.
Paul, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah, Will's talking about what we're proposing to do is to come out of the back of the houses into an 8-inch sewer line to a manhole. And what he's suggesting is that we put another manhole in here so we don't have a sharp angle like that. So we'll, in our actual design, we'll probably show we'll show this manhole and one here and tie this directly into here. This is a gravel area in here. The only pavement that we'd be going into is right in this area here. which would cut a trench from the 8-inch pipe and patch it accordingly. So what the actual design would show another manhole probably here and come across and go into here so we don't have this sharp angle.
So Will, if he did that, then you think it's a fine system to do?
It would be a feasibly working line, yes.
Okay. And talk about capacity for a minute?
Capacity at the sewer plant right now is running at about 80% capacity, or 1.2 million gallons per day out of our permitted 1.6. We have been seeing some improvements from the Cedar Point replacement project and the recent drought. I will note that those numbers don't include the July flows, and July wasn't notably heavy for rains, so those numbers may change by next week.
I was going to say, what drought are you talking about?
Yeah,
So,
it's a 12-month rolling average, so there's you have to take just a wide look at the.
so you've seen July's flow, though. Is it, with all that rain, you would think that the usage would be much higher?
Yes, our rolling average will likely tick up. Will probably be around like 82 to 84% at that time.
Okay, but still not at the 99.8% we were.
Correct. Yeah,
Right.
we were 2 years ago in August, about 99.89% of the capacity.
Good job getting it down, seriously. No. Okay. So are you going to keep trees there? Is that going to be open to the high school, or is there going to be
Well, the plan would be to leave somewhat of a buffer in the back of the houses, so the houses don't have to look at the school and vice versa.
Right, but you've got to, those are all trees now. You got to clear cut that area.
Yeah, there are woods in there now.
Who's the owner?
Pardon?
Who's the owner?
Thomas LaPearl.
Thomas, I'm sorry?
LaPearl.
LaPearl.
Ms. Canfield?
Just a couple of questions. I think you mentioned this when you were discussing. So the feasibility of a septic for this, it would entail doing clear cut of most of the site, but it could be done for this proposed development?
Pardon?
Is it possible to do a septic on this site?
Well, we have done soil testing out there for the stormwater. It's a fairly tight glacial till with a high groundwater, which means the septics would have to be elevated 4 feet above it, plus the height of the system. They'd probably be 4.5 to 5 or 5.5 feet out of the ground. Down the mounds.
And where are you in the planning, in the permitting stage? You referenced a couple of things. You've been before board already. We happen to have our planning board director with us. Thank you, Ann Burbine.
And I will have a comment.
Okay. But where are you in the whole permitting process? You say one curb cut from the highway.
We've surveyed the property. We've been to conservation to have all the resource areas on that site confirmed, which they have done. Once that was completed, we went to the planning board to have them approve the interior lot lines for the 3 house lots plus the parcel 1 that's in pink there, which is unbuildable.
And how big are these structures?
Pardon?
How big are the proposed structures?
The structures we show on the plan are approximately, they're probably 56 to 58 feet wide. And the reason being the lots are only 100 feet wide. There's a 15-foot side yard setback. So the maximum width they could be would be 70 feet. They're just under that, so they could have a garage with them.
Okay, square foot wise, I'm just trying to think how big, do you know square foot? I can't do that now in my head.
I don't know, square footage?
How big are the houses?
Yeah, I mean, are we?
3,000 square feet, 2,500?
Probably 2,800 to 3,200.
So family size houses?
Yeah, they'd be family.
Maura?
Squeeze them in anywhere.
I don't have any other questions. I mean, I don't really have any questions additional to what I'm hearing. Septics aren't a bad thing, and I think we have it ingrained in ourselves that they are. They're not, because it does help our groundwater levels. And If you can do a septic, I think we should. I don't think we should keep hopping here. I know we're going to get into the financial discussion, I'm sure, that we always get into, but I'm inclined not to approve it only because of our policies and because, our sewer commissioners our sewer department doesn't really seem to be keen on it. And, we're trying to fix the rest of the town here, and the more we keep bringing on, the further back we push getting North Scituate and getting the tree streets on. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I understand the plan. I understand where you're going. I know where this property is, and that's kind of where I'm at.
Andrew?
Yeah, the balance is, right, fixated on getting sewer to North Scituate, but we need money to do it. What are 4 or 5, houses? What is the question for Will? What's the added capacity for let's say you had a duplex and 3 4-bedroom houses? Negligible.
About 900 gallons per day.
About 900 gallons per day. And environmentally, a sewer is much better than septic long-term, right? Is that a way to look at it?
That's correct.
I think that's debatable.
Depending on the groundwater concerns, yep.
It's better than groundwater. Okay.
You got to remember that also septic, because I live in Norwell, which has no sewer. Septic recharges groundwater, where sewer does not recharge groundwater. So there is a negative to storage that it's not all positive. Not that I'm disagreeing with you, but it's not all positive.
Yeah. I guess I'd love to know more about, if the option is going to a septic and that's going to open up those, the views for the, Scituate High School and how that's going to impact how that looks. That's also a consideration that I'd like to hear either from the planning board or someone else. That's where I am.
I think my question is this any sort of setting any precedent? Have we ever done anything like this before?
The most recent private sewer extension that comes down would be the one on Harbor Heights Road. The sewer extended a couple hundred feet to provide service to 2 or 3 properties. Yep.
And that was new?
Within the last 5 years.
The next 3 years, I think that's been since I've been here. Yeah, it's been since I've been here, so 3.5 years.
Does the chair of the planning board have any?
I had a couple comments just before we get to Ann. My first question is there's 4 dwellings, but there's only 1 sewer connection, so we're paying 1 sewer connection and 4 sewer connections on that. My second question, and I tried to get an answer to this today, but unfortunately town council is out of town. This is not a public way. So do we have to get a grant of easement to connect into that storage? And what type of permission does he have to get from the school department? Because it's school town property, he would have to go to them. But would we have to go to town meeting to get a permanent grant of easement to connect into this? It's not a public way. Obviously, his rights in the public way, but I tried to check with council today. She's on vacation. I couldn't get back to her, but that is another question that I have. So the first one, I think Paul can answer. The second one, I think I'm going to have to just wait until she gets back. But Paul, are you contemplating 1 or 4 sewer connection fees for that?
Right. Good.
Is that 1 sewer connection fee or 4 sewer connection fees?
4. There'd be 4 fees.
Okay.
If I can point out one thing too, there's a stream that runs from, this is also school property, there's a stream on site which is also a tributary to the Scituate water reservoir. The zoning bylaw doesn't allow us to do any alteration within 150 feet of that brook. And that's one of the reasons the houses are back in this area here. The other,
Paul, how far back are they right now?
Oh, here, from here?
Yeah, to the brook.
Just by the line, they're over 200 feet.
Okay. Thank you.
The other thing I'd point out is, if this was a sewer extension, someone just mentioned an easement. One of my thoughts was to, if we're going to extend the sewer, maybe the way to do is to have the town, at the applicant's expense, extend the sewer to the property line, and then from here down, it'd be on private property. So, you know, maybe you don't need an easement. But if we do need an easement, we'll ask for one, but perhaps that's one way to avoid needing the easement on the town property. Well, if you consider the town extending this, you know, life of the sewer manhole over to the property, and then this will be private. It's just a thought.
Will, do you have an opinion on that, just engineering-wise, if the town were to own that section? Is there a problem with that?
Just given the location, it would be impossible to connect that without disturbing the school's property.
Okay.
I think Karen's question was, whatever's on the school property, we're going to own regardless. I mean, that's going to be our responsibility. From wherever the last manhole is to the main will be the town's responsibility under...
Regardless of an easement?
Yeah, but Paul's suggestion that would possibly get around the easement.
Right.
It'd call it an extension of the sewer main.
Right, I guess that's more my question. If we were to, if we were just, you know, randomly said to the sewer department, okay, we want to extend the main over to the property line to accommodate development on the other side of that. Is there any engineering reason why you would have an objection to that?
We request easement access to the manhole, or that they be handed over to the town for maintenance and those purposes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Ms. Burbine?
Yes, okay. Ann Burbine, 10 Hillcrest Road, Chairman of the Planning Board. This project came before us a number of weeks ago, and we formatted 3 lots, and it cannot be developed further without coming forward with a common driveway, which is a special permit. Right now, it does not meet zoning. We had an issue with the access, whether or not the access was not there because there's a guardrail in front of it. So it was a little iffy. We talked to town council, and we did go forward with the Form As. I'm very concerned about you, as the sewer commissioners, extending sewer to 4 new units. There are people in this town that have waited years for sewer, and North Scituate is one of them. And it would pain me to think that we are going to allow 4 units with water fee and sewer fee to the tune of maybe $100,000. Are we selling our sewer rights? Is that what we're doing? I do not agree with you sewer commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, of giving this sewer connection for this project. I really don't. I think, and also too, there's been all kinds of discussion around town about development. How can we sort of put a hold on it? You have an opportunity here, money notwithstanding, to say no. And I really truly think that it is in the best interest of this town. If they have to put in a septic system, and certainly it would cost them more money, and certainly they'd have to rearrange their lots, etc. The buyer beware. The buyer beware. It is not up to you, as the sewer commissioners, to enable them to put up these houses. It's not your job. Your job is to protect this town. North Scituate needs to be sewered. The tree streets need to be sewered. Maybe it's only 900 gallons, but still in all, it just doesn't pass the straight face test. Please, I beg you, say no. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Burbine. Does anyone else?
Sure.
Yes, Tony?
So we've talked about this, as more alluded to a little while ago. The sewer enterprise fund needs revenue from this source. We need to use our current infrastructure to generate revenue to keep that enterprise fund in the black. This is not the ideal situation for it. In my perspective, I think I'd rather give it to 4 properties that were built here, that are in an area that, where their sewer is failing or something like that, not necessarily for new development. But we do have to have a plan together that keeps the infrastructure up to date by generating revenue through adding sewers to our current infrastructure. I don't think that this plan right here will have any impact on North Scituate. It is a priority. It's going to happen. We're working on it. It's at the top of the list. Even though Ann disagrees and rolls her eyes and begs that this is going to ruin the town.
I did say, Mr. Vignani, that please, do not put words in my mouth.
We'll look at the tape.
You are selling your vote for money.
I am making.
You are selling your vote for money.
No, what we have to do up here as the sewer commissioners is make decisions that keep the sewer enterprise fund functioning and keeps our whole sewer system up to date, current, functioning at the best capacity, and have the capital revenue to replace everything that needs to be done. And we've talked about this for a long time. It's a mix of different things. It's sewer rates, it's adding new things, new hookups, and it's cutting costs. Those are the three ways that we can keep this enterprise fund in check financially. I really wish we had a little bit more of a plan that said, hey, we want to add 30 units a year to our existing infrastructure, because coming in groups of 3 and 4, and there were 26 the other day on, or however many there were on James Landing area, that's got to be part of the budget. We really have to have a grasp on how many more units do we want to add to our infrastructure, and what's the impact going to be on the sewer usage. So, I think probably if we don't give it, these things are going to be built anyways, and they're going to be a big hump in front in the front yard, and they're going to move the houses probably closer to the school, which is not really what we want. But that's what we have to weigh. Those are the decisions we have to make. And us not giving them a sewer is not going to slow development down in this town for these properties, nor is it going to impact North Scituate's sewer system getting there any quicker.
I'm expecting you to disagree with you, John.
All right, great.
Shocking.
No back and forth here. We're done with that. Yes.
Where in considering a septic field, has the conservation, have you been before conservation for that yet? Or if
No,
this
the
were
septic-
denied?
No, the septics would not be in front of conservation, because the septics would go to the rear of the homes. Just knowing the site, the fact that that brook goes to your reservoir, I personally feel being tied into the sewer as opposed to septics would allow for a much better looking site. It'd be better for groundwater protection. I do know the planning board recently turned down a housing project across from Doctor's Hill because they felt it was going to have a negative impact on the reservoir. Previous to that denial, we did go in with another client probably 8 or 9 years ago, and the project was approved in that same location, but it didn't work out for the client, and a new owner came in and refiled. I wasn't involved in that process, but again, if they're concerned about the protection of the groundwater, having these homes tied into the sewer would clearly be a benefit, given proximity to that stream, even though the systems are well beyond the 150-foot non-disturbance buffer zone from that stream.
Well, I would just like to suggest that we need to wait to hear from council anyway, so that we not make any decision this evening, since we're awaiting some opinions, correct? Yeah.
And I still think he's going to have to go to the school committee also on this. Talk to them.
Do they have to approve it?
I would think so, Tony. I mean, it's school property.
Yeah, but doesn't the town actually in charge of all the property?
The assessor's card says Board of Selectmen School Committee in terms of who controls the property. So, but generally, anything that happens on their property,
Yeah, I'm not saying not include them,
you got
but
to
I
at least,
think,
yeah, you got to at least run by them, especially where, depending on what Paul's timetable is, is it gonna interfere with buses and things? I mean, because right now, I don't see him getting it, even if we said yes tonight, I don't see him getting it started in time, getting it through Will and everything, getting it done by the time school starts.
Good point. When are you planning on doing it?
Pardon?
When are you planning on doing it?
I mean, the sewer design?
Well, would you do it, like Jim just brought up, you couldn't do it during schools, the school year, because of the traffic on that road.
We could do it on off days. I mean, you could have them do it on a Saturday. I mean, to run that line across the driveway wouldn't take long. We could do it on an off-school day.
It's the manhole that's,
We don't have a problem with that if that's.
the manhole that's the big job, right?
Just so it doesn't interrupt the traffic to and from the school.
The-
Portion of the road.
The sewer line's not the problem, it's the manhole that would take time. That's
Right.
depending on how big, how, the size of it, how big it'll dig a hole, how long it's gonna take. That's the, like I said, the line is
Right.
an hour. I mean, they'll get that across in no time at all, but the manholes, depending on how big it's gotta be, is potentially a big job. I mean, you saw some of the ones down Cedar Point. They're not gonna be that big, but those are big manholes.
Yeah. So I think I'm hearing that we should not vote tonight until we hear what town
Yeah, I
council has to
just,
say.
again, she's gone, I tried to get her, Attorney Galvin's coming to update us on Shellfish, we could probably ask him, but, she's the one who has to make the ultimate decision, so.
How does the board feel about that, postponing?
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have to figure out the easement.
So while Will's here, can you just, Maura mentioned that she thought that you didn't support this project. Is that an accurate statement?
I try not to get involved with the politics of these decisions. I look at the workability and functionality, and what the rules and regulations will allow.
So with the changes that you mentioned, then it's fine.
Then it becomes a workable system.
Thanks.
Yes.
What's your question, what is the question that you would ask town council?
It relates to whether or not we
Whether
have to.
we have to give an easement or whether what you're proposing would work. I mean, I think it probably would, but I just have to have her stamp it, because it's not something we've done before.
We'd want to talk to the school.
And we have, yeah, it's talk to schools too.
And I personally would like to have a little more information about the sensitivity of that stream as it impacts our water supply. And, I mean, I think you're right, that that's a very big consideration about the system that would be employed there. And then the other questions obviously need to be answered too. I'm a little uncomfortable with opening the Pandora's box of allowing access on not public way, because it does, and all these different variables come in that, unanticipated problems that I think we need to just sort of think through and just chew on it a little bit before deciding, personally, so. And if you could get sort of the proposed square footage of each building, I just can't scale-wise see it in my house, in my head, that would be
The size
helpful.
of the house?
Yeah, just what the proposed sizes of the units are gonna be.
These aren't like some of the very large homes you see in the town. The reason being because the lot widths on those two lots on the right are only 100 feet wide.
Right.
And the side yard setbacks are 15 feet. So even if you built to the side yard setback, you take 100 feet minus 30, it'd be 70 feet wide for a house. But if they were going to build them that wide, we'd probably stake them at 68 feet to give them 1 foot of place so they don't go around the setback areas.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I would favor postponing till we get a little more information on this.
Well, is there any way you can get us a number of how many hookups we've done over the last year or so we can, I just kind of lose track. It's, we've got to have that finite number of what we want for our budget. We also don't necessarily want to exceed that.
It is almost budget season, so we can certainly provide that.
Thank you.
Well, and I'd like to know the number that were emergency versus, this is new. This is not an emergency, and they could put septic systems on here. So I'd just like to know emergency versus, Tilden Road is kind of clear. All right. So we will postpone our vote on this matter till probably the next select meeting. So Lorraine, I guess if you could put that on. Thank you for coming in, gentlemen. So now we are at new business.
No,
Now
Andrew.
it's the beach stickers.
Beach stickers.
Beach
Oh,
stickers.
sorry, I checked it off. Andrew. Andrew, I think we can start the discussion.
We could
yes?
start, sure. So beach stickers.
Yes. Andrew has some ideas about beach stickers, and I suggested to him that he could come and talk to the board about this, and so here we are.
Yeah, so this is actually intended for tourism and to help our both North Scituate and our local businesses kind of writ large. And this is really our opportunity to talk about this as a group. But the idea was basically it's called a sunrise sticker, which you could give out either for free or for a small cost for out-of-towners. And before people get too afraid, the timing would come off at about 10 o'clock a.m. So if you have a young family or a senior, or if you're really into fishing and you want to get out there and you're from Hanover, you can get the sticker, come at 6, 7 a.m. to Egypt Beach, and you have to be out the door at 10 a.m. So that sticker would be just there. And so you could promote it, and there's a few other added benefits. So one, if we only had 100 stickers and you gave them out for free, you could also collect the data on the types of folks who are interested. Are people from Norwell or Hanover? Are they from, Foxborough? That's where, they want to come, and there are all these fishermen or these, there's also, oddly, I didn't know, there's a big surfing community who like to go to Egypt, and they get out there super early. Who knew? And maybe they can, after that, go out and grab a sandwich or go visit our local businesses. Any one of us who's, gone by these parking lots, at 10 a.m., they're not full 99.9% of the time. And I don't think it doesn't cost us a lot of money to do. I don't think it's going to impact greatly besides maybe the enforcement for how we could possibly do a program like this. And even, if it turns wildly successful, we could have, some sort of reciprocity. Maybe Scituate, Rhode Island wants to, who knows? But I mean, it could just kind of lead to other ways of us to kind of market the town, and even having the sticker out there and people see it that just says Sunrise Sticker Scituate and they're driving around wherever, it might have some other added benefits. So it's an idea, could be brilliant, could be terrible, I don't know, but I'm throwing it out there for discussion.
Is it your idea, or did you hear, is this happening somewhere else? Have you?
No, my neighbor like
morphed it?
surfs,
Yeah.
and he's like, all these guys would go over there super early, and they're from out of town, but they can't park there. And I said, why can't they just come until like 10? It would make a lot of sense.
I like the
Elvis-
idea for that, because there are a lot of surfers in town, and so I see that. I don't think it should be free, because I don't think that's fair to the other people that have to pay to be there. But maybe not as expensive, right? So since it's modified only from 6 to 10 a.m. Because I think the surfers do have a tough time finding a spot to park. I don't know how often the police really enforce it between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. though, but I won't go there. But I don't think it should be free, because there is a cost to producing the stickers and managing the distribution of them and all that, so there should be some cost. But it's a nice idea.
Comments?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought process. I think, I think we're going to get pushback from people that aren't able to park at 11 because no one enforced it and told the 10 a.m. guy that he had to leave. I don't think the police department's necessarily going to every parking lot at 10. But it's an interesting way to think about how we can expand the use of the stickers. I mean, right now I hear more people complaining that there's not enough parking, and that would kind of hurt that. I think at this point in time, the surfers are probably parking there without a sticker and risking it, the $15 ticket or whatever it is. 50, yeah. So I think it's good thinking out of the box. I don't know that I love it, but I certainly don't hate it. I think it's interesting.
Well, chaos out there.
Yeah.
Karen?
I think there's a lot of potential to this idea, both for drawing tourism into our community, being regionally thoughtful, and maybe potentially raising a little revenue. I don't think it'll be a huge moneymaker, but I know that in my household they're always looking to which beach has the best surf, and then figure out how to get to that beach. So I think there's a lot of legs to it. I might suggest that this would be a great thing to flip to our new reconstituted beach commission to vet out, to say, okay, are there other communities that do this? What are the problems? What are the opportunities? And if they recommend it to us, then to take it up at that point. But I do think there's a lot of dovetail with this and the work that the visitor center is doing and all of that. So if nothing else, it's a publicity thing. I think in reality we aren't, unless it's like it's going to be tomorrow, 90 degrees at 8 in the morning and low tide. It's just a parking lot right now. So I would love to see it further vetted.
Nancy, who sets the beach sticker
We do.
rate?
We do.
We do, all right. So, if, to piggyback on Andrew's idea, I had a thought that if we could take the current beach sticker and turn it into a beach and trail sticker and tack on $5 or something like that, and take the $5 and send it to whoever manages the trails at our conservation areas. And it might be able to be used for, maintenance and making sure that signs at the parking lots are in good shape and all that stuff. So, so when he started talking about that, I thought, well, maybe people would be willing to pay $95, which would also hopefully free up, to the extent that there's parking problems, which I don't think there are right now at the trails. But it could come to a point where we do have parking issues, and if we were to have people have to have a sticker to park at the trails, that might not be a bad thing. But Jim, in the Mariner this week, the Cohasset Police Chief was talking about seasonal officers and the fact that there's a big issue related to being able to have seasonal officers because of the training requirements have been increased. And obviously, we have seasonal officers, and they're the ones who would, I assume, along with the regular police, be enforcing stickers. So what kind of enforcement would we be able to have if we were to?
I mean, right now, we're okay with our seasonal officers. It's a change going forward, and it could have a real impact on every coastal community in the state, all the way down the Cape, that they'll have to do the exact same training as a regular officer, so it's going to be harder to get those people. The enforcement is done by both the seasonal officer and the regular officer, depending on who's on, what's going on, whether there's a complaint. Obviously, they don't do a lot of enforcement at 8 o'clock in the morning because there's not a lot of people at the parking lots.
Right.
So.
How much money do we take in from fines or whatever it is?
I'd have to look. I'm not even sure.
Any idea, Nancy?
And I'm not sure to be segregated by the beach, so I'm not sure how I'd get that number.
It goes into the general fund through the police department?
Parking revenue, parking ticket revenues, I know they were writing
Speeding
tickets on
tickets, all
Sunday.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, so I don't know if we'd do it by location, I have to check.
So I think, you're right, Karen, I think maybe send this over to the Beach Commission.
I think it's worth exploring and
Yeah.
just make sure we get Chief Thompson on board too, right? Because we want to understand the impact to enforcement.
Well, you would almost think that they just have to do a sweep at like 10 o'clock.
It's just going to have to look, it's just going to have to look remarkably
It'd have to
different
be
to make it
completely
easy.
different, yeah.
Like
Oh, I agree.
a big, huge sun or something that's just,
Yeah.
completely easy for them just to eyeball and be like, boom, out of here.
You're out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice idea.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Good ideas. So, new business. The close the October 26, 2021 special town meeting warrant. Jim? Nancy?
You have the list. Sorry, I gotta call it up.
We have a new list today that I didn't put.
Oh, we're doing the one in the electronically has already been updated?
Already updated.
Okey dokey.
We had 2 citizen petitions come in.
I don't have it. It's this one. Oh, wait, do I have one?
It's probably at the bottom. And this, it says on the top of it, articles as of 4:07 PM, 8/10/21.
You want to just go over it?
So would you like to tell us what we've got on the warrant?
Apologize, I'm in between glasses here, so everything's blurry, no matter whether they're on or whether they're off.
Yes.
So right now,
With you.
Feel your pain.
right now, there are 11 articles that were submitted. One of them will probably go away, the unpaid bill article. We have no unpaid bills currently, but there's an article on there just in case. Budget reconciliations, that's one we normally have. We're looking at the rideshare funds, set those aside. And then a few other things that may or may not stay once they get reviewed by the board, once you've had a chance to look at it. Transfers to reserves, we've been doing this in the fall, a couple of different places where we could put funds aside if we wanted to. There's also the feasibility study and schematic design for Hatherley Elementary School. We knew that was coming. We have the language from MSBA now. That's on here as well, and we can talk about different funding sources for that. We have a few off-cycle capital plan items that are on here that you may or may not decide to retain on here. And they will also have to go to capital planning, including a new piece of equipment for Will, who just left, and the transfer station backhoe, which is not doing really well at all, unfortunately. So they asked to move it off the 5-year capital plan and move it onto this town meeting, and then a regulatory item that's come up from the DEP. There are multiple projects before this Community Preservation Committee right now. They've only voted one so far. They voted last night on one project. They will be holding more meetings to discuss the other projects. They'll probably be the last thing to get decided about this warrant because of the hearings they have to have. There's 2 local option acceptances from the Board of Assessors. This is just to allow residents who qualify to defer their taxes under 41A or the elderly deferral to also be allowed to defer their water and sewer charges. So this just extends that property tax relief to those citizens who need it the most. The endorsement of the master plan for the planning board, and then the 2 special petition articles that were received today. One is for special legislation to allow up to 3 marijuana dispensaries or marijuana establishments in town, and the other would be, if the first one is successful, to amend the zoning bylaws relevant to marijuana dispensaries and marijuana establishments in town.
Can we get copies of those?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can email them to you.
Yeah, that'd be great, just to kind of take a look at them.
Did they propose zoning bylaw language?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Who was the petitioner? Who put those?
Keith Saunders?
Who?
Keith Saunders.
And what was the CPC article that they voted last night? You know
It
which one?
was the Bailey Ellis House drainage for $8,000.
And where did you get the dollar amount for the OPEB number?
The OPEB number is what we did last year, which was the excess of meals tax over estimate and the room occupancy tax.
I'm sorry, excess of meals?
Excess of meals tax over estimate and the room occupancy tax. So since meals came in higher than was expected, we had cut it down by half
In the total room?
in the total room. So even though there was a pandemic, the meals tax rebounded well.
So we voted to do that, those were the parameters last year?
That's what we did last year. Doesn't mean that's what we have to do this year.
Right. I don't remember saying that. Like, I mean, I'm sure we gave a number, but I didn't know that we said that was the formula. Is anyone?
No, that was the formula proposed last year that we approved. It wasn't a policy, I don't
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah, it's not a policy. It's something to be discussed in the financial policies.
Did we finish those yet?
They were ready for your retreat.
We will finish them. We will.
Thanks.
I had a question about the transfer station Old Stockbridge landfill permit. Is that related to the ongoing issue down on Stockbridge Road?
Yes.
Andrew?
I'm making
sure I'm looking at the right thing. This transparency software,
So I know that the board was interested in having some type of an open checkbook item that is a type of transparency software that we would have to purchase. So I've looked at multiple different options. The one from our own existing software company is the most expensive. And then we've kind of discounted it, and we've looked at 2 others. So depending on how much transparency you want, you can go really bells and whistles, or you can go less bells and whistles. There's a price range of somewhere about $5,000 to $27,000, and then there's maintenance on top of that that would be annual. So the one that I listed in there that you have in the hard copy is the bells and whistles, which would get you a digital budget book, a digital capital plan, and the open checkbook.
I was hoping that was the answer. I was just making sure. All right, excellent. Thank you.
It didn't fall on deaf ears. It's just taken a while to try to wrap my hands around
And
it.
the other reason we want to use the one from our financial software is because it's our financial software. I don't like the thought of third-party softwares connecting back and forth with our regular software. But it's pretty, we can send you some of the towns that have it if you want to look at what it does, but it's pretty remarkable that people can look up stuff at home, see where spending is. You guys can look at it, look at different trends, stuff like that. So it's pretty powerful software, and if it's used correctly, it actually takes some of the burden off Nancy. When you say, hey, well, how much did we spend on? You say, go look it up. You just type it in and get it. So.
So I understand we just got the approval by the MSBA for the language for the warrant. I watched the school committee meeting this morning, and they seem to be under the impression that town meeting was November 15th. So I called the chair of the school committee, and I said it's October 24th or 26th, whichever date I had. So I assume they've been in touch with you, Jim, yeah? The school department on this whole MSBA thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain they were aware because they gave me the final language this week before the warrant closed, even though I had a placeholder in for them.
Right.
And we met with Bill and Bob Dutch a couple weeks ago and went over it, so.
Well, it's what he said on the meeting that I watched this morning, so I just wanted to be sure that they were clear, because that's a big time change in terms of their, they're
Raising
gonna go out and
awareness.
get the votes out to town meeting, so. Good. Yes, Ms. Canfield?
Just one thing I wanted to bring up before the board and before we close the warrant is Jim has recommended that we likely postpone the charter review recommendations until April, which is the annual town meeting, and kind of makes sense from a perspective. But I did want to put before the board that going backwards from October 26th, it is possible, I think, to actually have that ready for October. It'll be hard work. There's pros and cons in doing both. The pros for keeping the pressure on the committee to get those recommendations reviewed and presented to the board for final review is that we won't lose momentum. And it's we're in the weeds trying to do this, and the longer it takes, I think the harder it is to keep focus. But Jim has recommended we wait till April, and I do think that an annual town meeting is more appropriate, and it's something. But I wanted to throw it out there to see if we wanted to put a placeholder in the warrant just in case we might be ready. Is that something that's feasible to Jim, and then we could postpone, or if we don't put it in, then we don't.
We have to post. We have to post very shortly, don't we?
In the next couple of weeks.
You'd have to make a decision probably within a couple of weeks, yeah. I mean, the reason I suggested this spring also is the fall is such a compressed time frame to get it all done, and then try to communicate what they've done to everybody so that before town meeting, everybody's kind of aware of what it is. I just thought that was kind of a compressed time. I think you'd want more time to make sure people.
Yeah, is there like
got
a
it,
public
so.
comment or a public hearing aspect to it that we should have?
Yeah, so what we'll probably end up recommending is that that once the final red line's out there, and then it needs to be distributed to different department heads in town, council, and to Jim as well, get their feedback, fix anything that's not right, and then that red line would have to come before the board for preliminary review for your comments. then it would go to public, and what we would propose is that then have at least 2 public meetings to explain the changes. What's interesting is there's been an enormous amount of discussion about how do we do this, how do we fix it, what's the best thing. I think in the final analysis, the whole charter versus bylaw, that we're going to find out that we're going to clean up a bunch of stuff that needs to be cleaned up, which is one of the big goals. But structurally, or the major changes aren't actually going to end up being in the charter, because that's our constitution. That we're going to robustly urge the next step is the bylaw cleanup. Because defining things, for example, like our charter doesn't specify in detail what the advisory committee does. But I think that after much discussion and review, that it's going to be recommended that it shouldn't belong in the charter. It belongs where it is now in the bylaws. So I think in the final analysis, we're going to find that it's not this huge overhaul, but that it's important to explain it to the board and to educate the public on the thought processes on the changes recommended. So, yeah, I guess the only question I have for the board is, Jim just answered, was whether we wanted a placeholder. But if we have to decide in 2 weeks, it's too early.
I would think a couple weeks so that we could.
It seems like you've done a lot of good due diligence over the last 2 years, and why rush it the last 30 days?
Yeah.
Well, I'm also concerned about lengthening the time of this meeting, given where we are with the variance, that we may want this meeting to go more quickly rather than, there will be the government geeks like most of us who will be in the weeds with the charter review versus the bylaw review versus the type of government we have. And so I would just say that I would rather that we wait.
No, I think Jim saying that we need to know in a couple of weeks, we're not going to be ready to make that recommendation, so that's fine. Great, okay. Well, now you've got your update on
there's the update on the charter review. Any other questions about the warrant? No?
Nope.
Thank you.
Do we have a motion? Do we need to make a motion to close the warrant?
Yep.
Move that the select board close the warrant for the fall special town meeting to be held on October 26, 2021.
Second by?
Second.
Mr. Vignani, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
So Jim, are we going to get details, particularly on the citizen articles, on the options of that? Who's going to be our expert to tell us what can happen with?
Well, the planning board will have a public hearing on it as required, because it's a zoning article. We'll have council review it. I mean, in a nutshell, it would allow up to 3 marijuana dispensaries in Scituate.
Say that again?
It would allow up to 3 dispensaries in Scituate.
That's what they're asking for.
Yep.
Right. But what was the moratorium that we put on?
So we have a zoning prohibition, and Ann's gone, she probably could have adjusted that, and I can. We don't allow regular commercial marijuana in town. It's prohibited in all zoning districts. So you can have medical marijuana, you can't have commercial marijuana. So this is a zoning article that seeks to allow commercial marijuana in different zoning districts in the town of Scituate. I haven't had a real chance to look at it, Tony. But
yeah, my question
in
is,
a nutshell, it legalizes commercial marijuana in town.
Right, so we just want to be informed on what.
Yeah, and there's all restriction around it, so, one of the places people always look at is the old medical building on the Driftway. Geez, that'd be a great place. Well, there's a daycare across the street, probably prohibited there because it's too close to the daycare. This place is too close to a church, this place is too close to, so it would allow it. Again, I haven't gone through to see what zoning districts they're letting it in.
Yeah, my question is if we can get whoever the expert is that can inform us on that to tell us about it.
Well, we'll have the petitioner in, obviously, at some point before you, and then the planning board will make a recommendation, and we'll take a look at it, and I'll be able to give you some more information on it when I've had a chance to actually go through and read it.
Thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions? No? Do I hear a motion?
We did, and we seconded
We did it,
it.
all right. Oh. And then there were questions after, all right. So we took the vote, yes, Lorraine?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't remember. So, discuss vote one-day wine and malt licenses. There are quite a few of them. Can we read it as one motion?
Would you like a motion?
Yes, please.
Move that the Board of Selectmen approve one-day wine and malt licenses to to Lavishly Done Catering for a private event at the Scituate Maritime Center on August 14th, 2021, from 6 p.m. until 11 p.m. To Joseph Norton for a private event on August 14th, 2021, from 7 to 11 p.m. at Mulaney's Fish Market on 8 Allen Place. To A Fork in the Road Catering for a private event at the Scituate Maritime Center on August 21st, 2021, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. To Catering by Michael Apria for a private event at the Scituate Maritime Center on August 21st, 2021, from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. And to Joseph Norton for a private event on August 28th, 2021, from 7 to 11 p.m. at Mulaney's Fish Market on 8 Allen Place. And lastly, to Simply Serving for a private event at the Scituate Maritime Center on August 28th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
And we've had two more.
Okay.
I just
And then,
gave it to
sorry, and then also to Ellen McKenzie at the Lucky Finn on 206 Front Street on August 14th from 6 to 10 p.m. for a private event. And to Ellen McKenzie at the Kennedy Country Gardens, 85 Chief Justice Cushing Highway on 8/17 from 6 to 10 p.m. for a 60th anniversary party.
Can we put a hold
Do
on
we
that
want to
one?
put a hold on any of these?
Yes.
Okay. Which, that one, the last one, Tony?
Yeah.
Okay. So, just.
A second on all but the last?
Okay. Got it. So we want to vote on everything and then have a discussion about that one.
Okay,
Okay?
sure. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Discussion on the last item?
Yeah, Kennedy's has been prohibited from having events since we let them have those 3 weddings a year and a half ago. They are,
I thought he had to come forward, not the caterers. I thought.
well, they're not
this
zoned to
happen
have,
before?
they're not
Yeah.
zoned to have this stuff.
Yeah.
Was it all events or just for entertainment, like outdoor entertainment?
But they can have events relative to their business.
Right.
So I don't know who this 60th anniversary is for.
It could be their 60th.
They are family.
It could be their 60th.
It's their family.
Is there entertainment? Is there music?
There's no alcohol.
No, just, so that would probably be, it's their business, they're having a party for them, as opposed to having a party for the Scituate Recreation or something. So I think this is probably not a zoning issue like the other ones would be.
It's on a Tuesday? Yeah.
Where is the details of it?
I don't have,
There aren't
Lorraine
any.
has the details, I don't have any
17th,
details.
Tuesday.
So would they be allowed to have an event that is like a gardening
birthday?
event or
A what event?
a gardening event?
If they were having something to promote their business,
Right.
absolutely, they could do it.
Yeah.
I think a private party for their own family is probably okay, the same thing you do at your house, they're just doing it at the business. But having an event for the Scituate fill in the blank is a zoning violation.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to do that, if they wanted to get into that business, they'd go to the ZBA, is that right?
I literally, this just came in and I had to revise the agenda.
That have, yeah.
No, I'm just, this is a perennial question.
I'm trying to remember, Tony, would they have to get a zoning change or the ZBA? I think they have to change the
Yeah,
zoning.
their deed does not allow them to do anything that outside of a garden shop.
It is Diane Kennedy for 60th anniversary.
I think they should come in here and tell us what they're doing.
Well, it was August 17th.
That's the problem.
There's no meeting before.
It came in yesterday, right? Up today?
Just came in.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
I think if it's family on a Tuesday night with no outdoor entertainment, I'm not too exercised about it myself. But we can relay to them that we'd like confirmation that it's a family event. Would you be okay with
60
that?
years. 60-year.
I hope it's not a surprise
The
party.
birthday.
It says the anniversary.
It's the anniversary
It
party.
could be they've
Oh.
been,
Just says
they've been,
60th anniversary.
they could be, have been in business for 60 years. It's too bad they didn't clarify it, right?
Well, the application's submitted by Alan McKenzie, I don't have any more
Yeah.
information than that, unfortunately. And it was under a top
Which is their
priority
MO.
question, and on this
I
agenda
s-
since
yeah.
the event is August 7th.
That's,
Right, it could be anniversary for the business.
I keep saying that. I think that's what it is.
Right now, I think you're absolutely right.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what it is, but speculating only.
Well, you could approve it,
Subsequent.
subsequent, that's it. 60th anniversary party for Kennedy's Garden. If it's not that, then it's not approved. I don't know what else to, that's the only thing you can do. If that's what you want to do, you can't, again, as Tony said, it can't be a 60th anniversary party for Tony. He's not related to the business.
I guess
I'm not-
my only
let me-
problem is.
I'm the
and
abutter, so
yeah.
I'll.
No, but
you know.
I think Tony, I'm not even gonna, this happened last summer, same thing. Somebody came in, it wasn't the Kennedys that came in, it was their event. Remember, they came in to ask for,
Kennedy's came in.
no, they did not. They sent in,
Nancy just showed me that they've been in business since 1960.
Yeah, I'm looking on their website right
no,
now.
which is great. But again, it's,
Lack of information.
yeah, it's the lack of information. They did the same thing last summer. They organized an event. They sent in that poor guy who came in
beer
for an
garden.
alcohol for beer.
Beer garden,
And,
yeah.
and, you know, we drilled him, the poor gentleman, and he's like, I was just told I needed a license. So it's sort of the same MO, like, just come and tell us what you're doing. Don't put it on Ellen McKenzie to get her the license, so.
So I'm not opposed to this event if it is a family event and there's no entertainment. I think it's a Tuesday night, like Aaron said, that's fine. But like Maura just said, they're not allowed to have stuff there. You know, it's pretty clear in the zoning bylaws. And they've got to come in and talk to us about stuff when they want to do it outside of that.
And
Sounds
not,
to me like we need to send them a letter.
We've sent them letters. Sent them letters last time.
Yeah, we did.
But I'm fine with this.
Do we do something pending on details, and just ask for details to come back? I'm not trying to be a
Well, but we have
curmudgeon, I
no-
just wish they would follow the process.
But we have no way of, how are we going to rescind it? If we approve it, how are we going to rescind it? We don't have a meeting before.
If it doesn't meet the criteria.
Well, you could say
it's not
pending
valid.
details of, you know, no entertainment, you know.
well, they don't have an entertainment license, so they can't have any entertainment. They would have to have a special license, separate license for that.
And there's nothing on their website and there's nothing on their Facebook page that's like a public thing, like,
Mhm.
so I don't think it's their anniversary party. I mean, I would think that unless it's just internal. But, yeah. I think we can do a contingent approval and it's not valid if it doesn't meet the criteria.
I'd be more comfortable with that.
Yeah, they should approve it contingent that it meets the requirements of Scituate zoning, I guess.
And perhaps Lorraine could have a conversation with them that the day, or, you know, one day notice to get on our agenda is not a, you know, we've talked about that before. We didn't want to, you don't want to use emergencies on
What do
these
you want me
things.
to tell them, contingent upon what?
Pardon me?
That's, what's our contingency? No entertainment? What else?
And
do we-
understanding the scope of it, I mean, how many people are going? You know, is there parking issues happening? Like, we don't even, are there 100 people coming to this anniversary party? So parking's gonna become an issue on 3A? Or are there only 20 and it's a family event, to your point? Nobody knows. So contingent upon receiving detail of number of invitees and
what's our,
confirming.
what's our threshold? Do we say if you're going to have more than 60, you can't do it? If you're going to have, I mean, I don't know how we,
Well, I mean, just to be devil's advocate, I mean, we're not requiring Mulaney's to provide that information for a private event, which we just approved. I guess what I would like to see is confirmation that this is a private event for the owner's benefit, not a third-party private event. That's what they're not allowed to do. And other than that, we don't ever ask for that kind of backup, I don't think. We just say, I guess they do say how many.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
they
it's
usually
on the
say, it's
agenda.
usually in their application.
Yeah. Did Alan have a number of people?
No.
Because it says number of guests, 20. Like you look at every single application, number of guests.
Did it say 20?
No. I'm looking at other applications. People are saying that we don't receive that information. We do.
We do. They say an event with 20 to 30 people, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in that application.
Number of guests, 20. Number of guests, 20. So
So Ellen didn't write it on the application.
I don't see
It says
Ellen.
60. Number of guests expected 60.
Yeah, see, I don't have a copy of Ellen's application, so I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause I had to email it separately because it just came yesterday.
Okay, one sec. Let me look.
But I have it right here.
Oh, here we go. Nope, that's Lucky Finn.
It wouldn't be in this computer backup.
I have it. I have it. It is. You emailed it. I have it. It's not in the backup. You're right. So number of guests expected, 60. Alcohol, 6 to 10 p.m. Diane Kennedy hosting it, 60th anniversary. Okay.
So what do we want to do, ladies and gentlemen?
I would vote to in favor of it, but I think they've got to come before us when they want to do functions there, because they're not allowed to have functions. And we've told them this time and time again, and the zoning board has told them time and time again, and we've written letters to them, and they've spoken with them, and they're not zoned for that functionality.
But I think, Jim, are you saying that they are zoned for this?
They're not zoned for it, they're allowed to have a function for themselves if they're in business. I mean, any businesses can have, we're having an anniversary, you can do that at your business. But if this was for me, and they were doing my 60th anniversary party down there, that wouldn't be allowed.
Do I hear a motion?
Yep, I'll make a motion to, let me get the wording, to allow a one-day wine and malt license to Ellen McKenzie for an event on 8/17 from 6 to 10 p.m. At 85 Chief Justice Cushing Highway on August 17th, provided there's no entertainment and they give us some explanation of the event prior to the...
Second.
Second by Ms. Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Drain layers licenses. Anyone want to make a motion?
Yes, find it. Just see one Silverado construction.
Do we have a list of the drain layers?
Just Silverado.
Oh, it's just one? Okay. It's not in the backup, so.
I just say moved her.
I got it.
You
Move
got
to
it?
approve drain layers license for Silverado Construction, Inc.
Second by
Second.
Mr.
Goodrich.
Goodrich, sorry.
What's his name?
All in favor? Mr. Goodrich, I think.
Aye.
Vote.
What?
All in
Aye.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
Sorry,
I didn't hear you
motion
say that,
carries.
sorry.
Everyone's paid.
We all blank-
And it's
we all
not
just
even
went
nine
blank.
We're just all hung up on Andrew and who he is.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
So, do we want to vote on we have some reappointments, and we have a couple of new, and we know that Mark Devereaux has been postponed, he's number 8.
We have to do the election workers.
Madam Chair, we have that first, yeah.
Where did I?
On page 118 in the backup.
Oh, the election workers, yes.
Yeah. For the Democrat and Republican town
Yes.
committees.
Do I hear a motion?
Move to appoint the election workers from the approved list submitted by the Democratic and Republican town committee chairs and provided them.
Second?
List provided, second by Mr. Vignani, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries 5-0. So, discuss vote board and committee appointments. We do have the motions if someone is interested in reading it, but any questions or discussions before?
Did you want to just hold off on the, on Mr. McKinley until we have other people come forward for those other boards?
Yes, he's actually not on this list because Lorraine gave us the motions and she knew we had multiple applicants for
the other boards.
Those others.
Okay.
So I think this is pretty well organized in terms of reappointments, unless anyone has any questions about any of the reappointments. And then the appointments, looks like we would be making 2 tonight because Mr. Devereaux has been postponed to August, whatever the date is.
Okay. I can start. Well, I probably shouldn't do the top one.
All right, I'll do that. Move to reappoint Stephen Irish, Ruth Wagner, Jessica, is it Gardia? Gardia, and Maura Curran to the Affordable Housing Trust for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Vignani, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
I'll abstain, just because my name's on it.
Yes, 4-0. 1 abstention.
Other people trying to get on this?
Move to reappoint Donald Ladd as constable for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second.
Second by Ms. Curran, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Who wants to
I'll
do?
Move to reappoint Mary Ann Haliaco, Sitzka Humphrey, Leslie Donnell, and Kathleen McCormack to the Beautification Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second?
Second.
Second by Mr., what's your name, Goodrich?
Goodrich.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Sure. Move to reappoint Dan Fennelly and Skylar Chick to the Community Preservation Act Committee for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second?
Second.
Second, I heard Ms. Canfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Move to reappoint Doug White to the Board of Health for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
I keep thinking you're seconding.
Slackers over there.
Motion carries 5-0.
We good with this one? All right. Move to appoint Andrea Ramsay to the Scituate Beach Commission for a term of 3 years or until...
There's actually 2 people there.
Yep.
Here. And Linda, too. Remember, she wanted
Linda,
beach.
yeah.
Linda wanted beach, too.
They both seem to.
And Linda Noble
There you go.
to the Scituate Beach Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Canfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
This next one, we could take out Erin Hurd, since she did not attend this evening.
Oh, right. Yep.
Let's just first say how do you not love Jorge? He's just the best. That was the work he does. It's incredible.
Enthusiasm.
All right, sorry. Move to appoint Jorge Viega to the Beautification Commission for a term of 3 years or until a successor is named and completion of the Conflict of Interest Law online training program is completed within 30 days.
Second.
Second by Ms. Curran. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. All right, so we're done with that. And does anyone have any liaison reports?
I have one real quick.
Yes.
I just wanted to alert the board that the Assistant Library Director, Tony Snee, who has served in our library for 27 years, is retiring on September 15th.
Oh, wow.
He's extraordinary and will be missed. And that the numbers at the library, they're averaging 400 to 500 people a day currently.
Wait, 400 to 500 people a day?
Yes.
Coming into the building?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So I wanted to just share that with both of you. Big thank you to Tony, because I got to work with her very closely during the library project, and She's just a tremendous asset that we're going to miss.
We'll miss her, but wish her
Hopefully
well.
We'll send her some nice retirement thing. That's all I have.
Tony?
Nope, nothing from me.
Not this evening.
I'm good.
It's not a liaison report, but I would like to say that I had the privilege of attending an Eagle Scout ceremony. Yes, and I teared up. It was very moving. The young man who became an Eagle Scout, he actually became an Eagle Scout a year ago, but because of COVID, they couldn't do the ceremony. But they did do the ceremony, and it was extremely moving, and I didn't know we had so many Scouts in town.
Oh, yeah.
So it was very educational, and I had never been in back of the Trinitarian Church, and it's lovely back there. So I just want to thank the Scouts for all that they do for the town and for the fine young people, and it was a very good event to attend. So I thank them for inviting us to be there. Correspondence, Mr. Goodrich.
Yes, so there was a lovely letter from the Marshfield Board of Selectmen talking about the shellfish and how they are urging the rescinding of some of the commercial standards to the North and South River Association for shellfish and shell fishing in that whole area. So basically, they're letting us know that they're CCing everyone, all the different towns in the North and South River watersheds about the importance of making sure not to use the commercial standards, but rec standards as well. And so we were CC'd on that. There's also, sorry.
Can I just ask a question? Are we doing a similar letter? Have we done that?
We can if the board would like.
Probably should, I mean, to just
So the
enforce
recent
that.
letter, Jim, from the state lifting the restrictions on shellfishing only related to red tide, is that right?
Correct.
So this didn't, I think there's some misinterpretation out there as to whether the restrictions were also being lifted, the Division of Marine Fisheries put on the North-South River, but that is not.
Not that I'm aware
So
of.
I think we should send a letter, similar letter,
Okay.
I agree.
Agreed.
so. Okay. We can just cut and paste.
I don't know. And then there was also just a lovely handwritten note from the Scituate Food Pantry, just thanking the board for for the ribbon cutting and the support and for what's happening over at the food pantry. So it's just lovely. That's it. That's all.
No other wonderful missives, okay. So, I think we're probably on to minutes. Do I hear a motion?
Move to accept the meeting minutes for the select board meeting held on July 20th, 2021.
Second.
Second by Mr. Vignani, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Do I adjourn?
There's one other too, I'm sorry. Move to accept and not release the select board executive
Oh, thank
session
you.
meeting minutes for the meeting held on July 20th, 2021, since the matters discussed are still pending at this time.
Second. Second by Ms. Curran, all in favor? Aye. 5-0. Motion carries. Do I need to adjourn this meeting and then open the executive session, or?
No, the motion is to go into executive session
Okay,
and not return to open session.
Okay, so I have this. So, the chair declares that the select board move into executive session pursuant to purpose 3 of the open meeting law to discuss strategy with respect to litigation. And I declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the select board in connection with this matter. The board will not reconvene in open session. We are going to discuss the shellfish aquaculture pilot program. So, I need a motion.
Make a motion?
To move into executive session, please.
Move that the select board go into executive session pursuant to purpose 3 of the open meeting law to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body. The board will not reconvene in open session, and this relates to the shellfish agriculture pilot program, and this requires a roll call vote.
Second. Second by Ms. Canfield.
Roll call vote, Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Ms. Canfield?
Yes.
Mr. Goodrich?
Yes.
Ms. Curran?
Yes.
Mr. Vignani?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.